What up? You are live and direct on Petty Sportz, the podcast brought to you by King's Broadcasting Studios. It's your boy, the host, Mr. Famous Fees. They call me Fax. And I'm live with my main man, Adam. Holla at him.
Man, you already know what's going on. You know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. Wednesday night, 8 p.m., Petty Sportz. We're live for the next 2 hours, and the slate is hot, man. Slate is super hot. Before you get it going, shout out to my boy Christian. Today is your birthday. Appreciate you tuning in. Happy 24th birthday, brother. Gonna have a blast on Sunday at the Braves game. Hopefully we win. Hopefully see Acuna play. But tell us what we got coming up tonight, Fees.
Okay. Yeah, man, we got a full slate tonight, man. We're going to kick this thing off with some NBA action. We got a whole lot of NFL, as usual. We got a little boxing, little UFC. You know, it's the action is tight, man. Like every week we stack with content. It's more than I can even tell you we got going on. But we got the NFL wide receiver Petty Sportz Combine. It's actually the pass catcher combine because there's one guy who's not a wide receiver that we have to mention tonight.
That one dude. We all know who that one dude is.
Yeah.
He is the reason it is the pass catcher combine.
Exactly. The name got changed for that guy. So, man, it's going to be a real show tonight, man. Y'all need to go ahead and get your popcorn ready. Go ahead and hit that button. Get it going. Get your drink. Get your smokes. Do what it is you do. Lock in. You got 2 hours of fun, facts, and arguments all night. That's how we going to do it. So, man, before we even jump to the first topic, we got a tweet we want to chop it up about just real quick. Because the Kansas City Royals, they put out a video with I don't even know what player it is because you know I don't watch baseball. So, but one of the Kansas City Royal players, he came out, popped up a video. He's got on a Tampa Bay Bucks Tom Brady jersey, and in the video he walks through and says, "Pat Mahomes is still the best." And then Tom Brady tweeted under the video, "Actions speak louder than words." So then in response to Brady's tweet, Pat Mahomes responds and says, what was his tweet said, he was like, we'll see in 20 years.
You know you wanted Charlotte to remember that. You knew what he said.
Hey, I mean, it was just funny. I mean, like, they were billing it as like, oh, they're having a goat troll battle war on Twitter. That wasn't a war.
Yeah, Salvador Perez is the Kansas City Royals player, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was never going to say that.
You know I got you with the names, brother, yeah. Yeah, we will see in 20 years, though. I mean, Mahomes definitely looking special, no doubt. But, I mean, I remember when Cowherd was saying, man, people are going to start talking about Mahomes as the GOAT if he wins this Super Bowl, and which is crazy enough. I mean, there's no doubt that the kid is special, but I mean, give him some time. I mean, I'm saying at least 5-6 years, you know, something. I know he's inching up on it, but Super Bowl is a boo-boo, man. So that's a step back. So what a well-timed tweet for us to dig into.
Oh yeah, I mean, he needs a lot more on the resume before that conversation starts. I mean, really, if I gave you a blind resume, you wouldn't know if I was giving you Pat Mahomes' resume or Russell Wilson's resume.
Right.
First 3 years a starter, 2 Super Bowls, one lost one, made it deep in the playoffs, 1 divisional round, 1 conference championship.
Yep.
That's literally the only difference. One went to the divisional round and lost, and the other went to the conference championship in the first 3 years. Otherwise, resume is exactly the same, down to the fact that you lost to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl that you lost.
Yeah. Wreaking hell for everybody, man. Love Mahomes and Wilson, though. Just compliment each other a lot. I think Mahomes is better already, though. I'll go ahead and say it. I think Mahomes is definitely already better than Wilson. Absolutely.
Oh, than Wilson. Oh, I was like, what?
Oh.
Excuse me?
You thought I was going for the GOAT's neck already? No, not yet, man. Like, we got.
I was like, I wasn't prepared to do that tonight.
Yeah, right. We got to get to the show first.
I was like, let me log into the Brady brain. I got too much for that.
The flash drive, plugging on the stats, man.
Yeah, I mean, the one MVP award can pretty much put him ahead in the grand scheme. As far as the fact that he hasn't played long enough, I would have to have Russell ahead of him at the moment.
Yeah.
But clearly he's projecting better than Russ, and that's not even a slight to Russ.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
Russ is headed on a top 10 all-time status.
Of course.
And Pat is headed a little higher.
Right, yeah, it's literally just inching a little ahead, but we'll see because I definitely think Russell Wilson still has the potential to absolutely have a better career than Patrick Mahomes. I mean, even without the MVP, I'll say that because there's going to be the homers out there. There's people already saying Russell Wilson's a Hall of Famer, which rightfully so he is, and so is Patrick Mahomes. If Mahomes retired today, he would be a Hall of Famer.
Oh, both of them will make it.
Complain about it if you want, but it is what it is, man. The talent is there, so talent's absolutely there.
They haven't reached first ballot status, but they both definitely make it. Like, there'd be no argument whether or not they should be in.
You don't think either one could be first ballot yet?
Not yet.
You know, you're right. Just because of we've seen players time and time again like be absolutely special and played for way longer than Russ and Mahomes. So yeah, I'll have to say because I was like,
Kurt Warner wasn't first ballot.
There you go. They've got first ballot talent, but the guys up there in Canton are just like picking everything.
He's the last player to win MVP and the Super Bowl in the same year, and he's taken 2 different teams. Both the Super Bowls and been to 3 Super Bowls, and he didn't make first ballot.
Right, yeah.
Like, how can you give him? Neither one of them has done more than him.
I need to go work in Canton. They're too stingy out there. they're too picky over there, man.
It's hard. The floodgates about to open when Julian Edelman gets in. Everybody's going.
Yeah. Let's go. All hell is gonna break loose. The waters will officially be. Yeah, it'll be tough.
People are gonna be very butthurt about that.
Yeah, extremely, extremely. I agree with you.
I can't wait for it to happen though. It's not going to be in 5 years, but he's going to get in at some point.
And I'm gonna think
10.
And I'm gonna think back to the show where we said we knew Julian was gonna. I mean, for me, it's a no doubter when I really dig into his career. But like I said, guys in Canton, you got all the Santonio Holmes, Hines Ward guys out there, Torrey Holt guys. So I mean, it's. I think that's what it is. Is it more of the selection process, or is it just more of the old heads appeasing the old heads in the game? Like I think that's what it might boil down to in the end of it, man. Seriously.
Yeah, it's something definitely like that. So, man, let's jump on into the docket for the night. First topic on deck, Steph Curry, the chef. I know y'all been watching. 11 straight games with 30-plus points and more, shooting over 50% from both the field and three-point. I mean, the dude is on fire, and they're winning. They're 7-4 in those 11 games. I mean, he's single-handedly dragging Golden State back into the playoff picture.
Yep.
So the question is, can leading the league in scoring and carrying the Warriors into the playoffs be enough to take the lead in the MVP race?
I think it absolutely can because, 2015 year when Steph Curry won MVP, he was only averaging 23 a game. And then you go to the 2016 season when he was averaging almost 30 a game. And obviously Steph Curry was really making his name then. He wasn't the best shooter in league history yet, but shortly after that, he became that. And his really only competition right now is Jokic. I mean, being the best big man in the league at the moment, being as versatile as he is. And he's had a hell of a month as well, averaging a triple-double in April. But we've also got Curry averaging 41 points in the month of April as well, going absolutely berserk. He's got 4 of his last 5 games with 10 threes or more. Man, this guy's pulling 15, 17, 18 threes a game, and it just shows you truly how Steph Curry has changed the game of basketball. And the MVP award is skewed. Like, we even had it wasn't a tweet, it was a quote that broke earlier. Steph Curry was saying, yeah, I gotta be it. I gotta have it. I probably won't win it, but it's whatever. And that's really unfortunate because it's a most valuable player, and I know we get caught up on the best player in the league. I get victimized by it. I know you do, but if we're really talking about this year, if it's a tight race, you got to bring some value out of there. And you look at the Warriors last year, they were terrible, dead last in the NBA, 15 games won.
They were bad this year too.
Yeah, I mean, at least they're 500, 29-29 this year compared to 15 and 60 last year. I mean, they were by far the worst NBA team. Yes, no Steph, no Clay, but you bring just Steph Curry back. Just Steph Curry, because it seems like Draymond Green is just kind of slumped over from whatever kind of energy he had going early on.
Best defender in the history of the NBA.
Man.
So he says.
All right, back to reality, back to the show. Steph Curry coming in, being the only gentleman out of the 3, absolutely producing. I mean, come on, Ludy's like scraping things up. We don't even know about Andrew Wiggins at this point, and he's putting the team on his back, carrying them, and just that one player coming back in, leading the league in scoring, obviously spraying away from three-point land, and keeping them in contention for the playoffs. And Jokic is having a hell of a haul as well. Jamal Murray just went down, and now he's going to become that much more valuable, but I think we can easily say Denver has more talent than Golden State at this point. Look at the books, look at the numbers, look at the record. Steph Curry is my MVP at this point in the season, and unfortunately, he might get robbed, but when you look at what he is actually, just look at the month of April. Just look at the month of April, and he's separating there. It's close, but I'm taking Curry for my MVP all day.
Okay, man, I'm not even mad at that take. I mean, they're at 29-29. They're sitting in 9th place currently, and I think the biggest thing going against Steph right now is where they sit in the West.
Yep.
I mean, the highest person, the lowest seed we've ever seen an MVP come from was back in 2017 when Russell Westbrook won. They were the 6th seed in the West that year.
Wow.
They were 47 and 35 in 6th place.
Whew.
That was the first time since Oscar Robinson we'd seen a triple-double averaged for a season.
Yep.
And he was averaging 31.6 a game with almost 11 rebounds and 10 assists a game.
Yep.
So, I mean, it was ridiculous on top of the fact that he set an NBA record 42 triple-doubles.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to be in 6th place, he did something that was so monumental that they had to give it to him.
Yep.
But normally the MVP goes to the best player on one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the East or the West. It's very skewed.
Right.
There's been lots of seasons where we've seen players go off and their team wasn't good enough for them to be merited or even like in high consideration for the award.
Yep.
So I mean, I think how this thing will end, Steph will be runner-up, maybe 2nd or 3rd in MVP voting.
So sad.
Because what we're looking at right now, Jokic, in addition to his stats, the team is 37 and 20.
Yeah.
They're in 4th place. They're definitely not going to fall out of that position. He's averaging 26, 9, and 11 with a 31.5 PER, and he's got 12 triple-doubles. Mm-hmm. He's 2nd in the league behind Russell Westbrook in triple-doubles this year.
The fact that he's doing all that as a big man is what makes his MVP case so strong.
And it's only by 2. Russ has 14, he has 12. Granted, Russell Westbrook is he's probably played half the amount of games and has 14 triple-doubles.
Right.
Because he has missed a lot of games.
Right.
But I think even outside of Jokic, if they don't have the number of games played stipulation, it's still Joel Embiid. They're 39 and 18. He's averaging 30 points, 11 rebounds, and his PER is 31.2. So he's only 0.3 behind Jokic in PER. His team is in 1st place. He's back, and he's doing his thing. I mean, he's played 39 games this season, so he's missed 18.
Right.
Jokic has not missed a single start. He's played all 57 games. So I mean, if games played is pushed aside, I think it'll end up being Embiid, Jokic, then Steph. As good as Steph is playing, meaning best case scenario, they got 14 games left.
Right.
If Steph stays on this tear and he finishes the season with 14 more 30-plus games, and they win all 14 of them. Now, this is extremely best case scenario. That'll leave them at 43 and 29 for the season. Mm-hmm. That might get them to 6th place.
Yeah.
I mean, right now they're 14 games. I mean, they're how far back? They're quite a bit back, like out of 6th place. I think they're 9 games out of getting to 6th place.
Are we talking about the Warriors?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They have quite a ways to go. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's considering that, and we've never seen anyone shoot as well as Steph is shooting right now, but
Absolutely.
We have seen the point production. Before we just be super prisoners of the moment, we can't forget that just 2 years ago, James Harden had 32 straight games of 30-plus points.
Yeah.
Like, we're going crazy over Steph with 11. This dude did it 32 straight games.
Yeah.
Like, this was over months and months. Couldn't stop him.
Nope.
So, and he didn't even win MVP.
That was an uproar that year, too. A lot of people were pissed off about that year.
He did all of that scoring, and they still gave it to Giannis.
Yeah. I don't think Giannis deserved it last year. I mean, LeBron was my MVP last year, man. So I'm not saying Giannis didn't deserve either one of them, but
yeah, I
don't like the train that it gets on with the MVP like trophy. Like you see, like Steph earned the back-to-back, but as soon as you get one, the bias is there for the back-to-back one. Giannis got it, the bias was there for another back-to-back one. I think for Curry to win this MVP, though, he's got to lead the league in scoring. He's got to take the Warriors to the playoffs. And when it comes down to it, so the Warriors right. When it comes down to it, the Warriors are only 3.5 games back of 6th place. Only 1 game out of being in 8th to be able to get in. Because what is it? The play-in tournament is it the 8th?
7 through 10.
7 through 10. Okay, there you go. So they're in the play-in tournament. They've got the potential to get in, but they could bump up to that 6th spot just 3.5 games back. And for me, if it's just 8 or 9 games separating the Nuggets and the Warriors, I'm giving it to Steph Curry, man. I don't think 8 or 9 games is enough when Steph has undoubtedly been carrying that team more than Jokic has, because nothing in Golden State, dude. Nothing. He has been the one scoring night in and night out. I mean, casual 53, a casual 45, a casual 35. Like,
it dropped 49.
Exactly. It is the Steph Curry we are coming to know. And I'm not taking anything away from Jokic, but we're talking about value, and we're talking about working with a whole lot of nothing. It's Steph Curry. It's not even close, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, we know that it's historically the best player on the team with the best record.
Right.
Not even per se the best team.
Always.
Whoever's got the best record, if they have a superstar player, he's going to get the nod.
Always.
That's like how Giannis has done it. The Bucks had the best record in the league the past 2 seasons.
Yep.
And he won the MVP.
It's just like
the 2 years that Steph won it. Guess who had the best record in the NBA?
The Warriors.
The Warriors. It's not rocket science. That's why it was historic that Westbrook was able to do it from the 6th seed, because you normally cannot do it if your team is not at least in the top 2 or 3.
Right.
Like, generally, you got to be actually in first place in your conference at the very least.
Yeah.
Because usually that team has the best player, even if someone is having a better season. Like, nope, he's taking his team to a height to be at the top of the league. He's MVP.
Yeah, the MVP is slowly just getting more and more biased every year. Like, that's why when people talk about MVP and you eventually get over to greatest of all time, like, it just gets so skewed because it's just so easily thrown around. The bias is there. People just look at one aspect or the other. And it's so contradictory because it takes away from the name most valuable player. That is Steph Curry this season. Most valuable player to the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably have this argument across sports. It's the same thing in NFL as it is in the NBA.
You ain't lying.
It's like, okay, this guy is the only reason that this team is remotely in it, but they don't win the award because their team's record isn't good enough.
Look how many record years Drew Brees had and didn't even get sniffed for an MVP. I mean, look at it, all the 7 and 9 and subpar years in New Orleans that he was slinging 5,000 yards and over 40 touchdowns. Never even got. I mean, I'm sure he got looked at because of the numbers, but the league wasn't going to give that to him. Didn't make the playoffs.
Was 7 and 9.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, no defense. You can only do so much, but I mean, man, plenty of people said it. Drew Brees' career years, not to swing the conversation, but like you were saying, we see it in other sports, and it's sad. We see all-time greats go without ever giving a sniff of it. So look at Russ. I mean, that's really due to his play just falling off in the second half. But another guy that just don't even think about him when the time comes around. So,
never even a vote.
Right.
Like, that's almost disrespectful to how good he is.
That is the crazy part to me, is not even a vote. Yeah, that's the part that blows my mind.
It's like, at least Drew has been right there.
Right.
Russ has never even gotten a vote.
4 second places. 4 second places.
But never a vote. So disrespectful, man.
I know.
I mean, Steph Curry, he's going to continue doing his thing. I mean, the shooting is just unprecedented. Like, nobody's ever shot at a clip the way he shoots.
Nope.
Where they start guarding him, he steps across half court, and now he's getting double teamed and trapped.
Yep.
Like, it's nuts.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and he's out there just like I'm always saying when I'm talking to people about Steph, he doesn't actually care what anyone thinks.
Right.
That dude, he just loves playing basketball.
Agreed.
He's like, oh, okay, like the team needs me to shoot a little bit more. He's having a time of his life.
Absolutely.
People are mad like he needs to shoot more, he needs to do this, he needs to do that. He's like, dude, I get paid tens of millions of dollars to play basketball, and I can score when I want to if I feel like it.
Yep.
From anywhere. You can't be mad at him. Like, dude is like a kid in a candy store. He hits a shot, he's shimmying and dancing. Sometimes he don't even know what he want to do.
It's not even surprising. It's not even surprising at this point, seriously. Like, people are talking about, oh, this is Steph's best season and because of all the points, but Steph has always played like this. It's just when your team truly falls apart and needs a leader and needs someone to carry, now we are seeing that intangible that some people were questioning at one point if Steph Curry had in his career. This is proof. I mean, this is a huge season for him. I don't think it's his best, but it definitely is a highlight of his career, no question.
It's a narrative that he's never had to prove, which people created because he actually had a supporting cast.
Yep.
Like, can he carry a team by himself? It's like, well, he's never had to do it, so you can't say that he can't do it.
Right.
You've never seen him even try.
And now he has brought that argument to the front and said, okay, well, what's next? What's my next challenge? Let me know.
He's like, okay, everybody's hurt. All I got is the self-proclaimed best defensive player of all time, who clearly is not, and I'm running it.
Best defensive player of all time.
I mean, I'm interested to see if we can actually keep the streak going, because the next game is against Washington, and the lowest game of this 11-game streak was 32, and it was also against Washington.
Yep.
Because, you know, Russell Westbrook definitely takes defense to heart, and he is probably one of the only players in the league that's fast enough, physical enough, and strong enough to actually play Steph one-on-one and disrupt what he's doing.
I agree.
I mean, if he can keep the streak going and pass through Russ while Russ is also on a tear,
yeah,
because he's been triple-doubling out of this world right now.
Yep.
And the Wizards have been winning lately. It's like that'll actually be a very good matchup. If he's able to continue that streak against him, then it may not stop. Mm-hmm. That'll be a pretty big barometer because, I mean, outside of him, I don't really see anyone else that's able to even slow him down.
Yeah.
And it's not even saying that Russ can stop him. He's physical enough to hold him under 30.
Yeah.
He might can hold him at 28.
Right. Yeah, just below it. Just below the threshold. Just enough to break it.
Yeah, just to cut the streak. Like, when you say he can shut him down, that's not happening.
That's a total Russell Westbrook move, too. Like, I'm here just for this. Yeah. All my minutes are being played against Steph tonight just to break that streak.
Especially the way people are disrespecting him. I mean, he's been going toe-to-toe with Stephen A. about him saying his career isn't fulfilled for not having a championship.
Yeah.
Like, a small thing like this will seem like nothing. Russ will go at it like this is defining his season. Mm-hmm. Like, it could be ugly. Man. So we're going to move all action on to the NFL. To the real. We just heard last week, Jadeveon Clowney signed a 1-year deal with the Cleveland Browns. This is his 4th team in 4 years. Mm-hmm. It is 8 years in the league. He's been on 4 teams now, but this is 4-4. Every season now, he's going somewhere else.
Yep.
Does this make the Cleveland Browns defensive line the best in the NFL?
I think it makes them the furthest from the best in the NFL because you look at the moves, man. Sheldon Richardson, he's gone. Takk McKinley brought in an absolute bust in Atlanta. Ask anybody here in the city. They don't give 2 damns about Takk McKinley. Trust me on that. Bringing him in, having the shoulder problems at first, and he was never able to produce 17.5 total sacks in his career. And then bringing in Jadeveon Clowney, another guy who you started to question his work ethic at times. You started to wonder, is this guy still truly committed to the game of football? He's never had a season with 10 or more sacks. And then you have Myles Garrett. Poor Myles Garrett, who is going to have to be pulling everything out of his hat for some tricks, man. He's going to be getting double teamed like crazy. He's going to literally have to finesse this season, I think, just to muster up maybe 13 to 15 sacks because knowing that Myles Garrett is going to be actually the only true force on that line, I think Cleveland has taken a step back defensively, and I hate to see this because this is a team that really just got their respect in the NFL. I almost said the NBA there. Really just got their respect in the NFL and just started changing the culture. Now you're going to immediately go wipe that defensive line, it feels like. When you had one of the best front sevens in the NFL, like I held Tampa Bay and Cleveland at one point in the season as the same pass rush and front seven, and it is fairly close overall throughout how the season played out. And you don't want to see them strip away all the talent when you are just now switching it back into there, man. I know we hear the alarm. Any segment can stop for when we got this time going on, man.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You know what time it is. 8:24. It is absolutely that time. Tribute to my man, Kobe Bean Bryant.
Kobe.
Got to win the text war real quick. There we go. All right.
Secured.
Count us down.
3, 2, 1. Kobe. R.I.P. to the Mamba, baby. Happy birthday to my boy Christian. R.I.P. to Prince as well. I was kind of out of order. I probably should have said R.I.P. Kobe, R.I.P. Prince. I'm like throwing the emotions around, man. My fault, guys.
We got them all in there.
Right, we got them all in. R.I.P. to Prince. R.I.P. to Kobe. Happy birthday to my boy Christian. 24 years. I don't know how I've done it. I know how you've done it because I'm pretty cool. But you, on the other hand, it's been kind of tough, bro. But all love to you, my man. So back to the Browns and Jadeveon Clowney. I don't like the step that this team has taken because, and you also look at Jadeveon Clowney, only 32 career sacks. So there's really not that much of a difference between Takk and Jadeveon if you're talking about totality of impacting the game. On and then off a little, on and then off a little. There were talks a little bit about Takk. Maybe he's going to get a spark, and it didn't happen in Atlanta. Same thing with Jadeveon Clowney, but except he was a number 1 overall pick. Neither one of them had more than 9 sacks in a season, and it just makes me wonder, who are they going to get help from? A linebacker is going to have to step up. A cornerback is going to have to step up. They lost Christian Kirksey as well. So you wonder who is going to be that supplement to fill in this pass rush that feels like it suddenly went void. I don't like the moves they're making so far, and I'll be honest with you, they're kind of reminding me of how the Arizona Cardinals are pulling in J.J. Watt, pulling in A.J. Green. Baker's young. This culture is young. They just figured it out with Kevin Stefanski. He just won Coach of the Year. This is the complete opposite direction they need to be going. Y'all better draft a pass rusher. It's got to be a pass rusher for Cleveland in this draft, especially considering how scarce they are.
Yeah, man, I think Jadeveon Clowney is one of the most overrated players in the entire league at this moment.
He really
was
is, though.
First overall pick in 2014.
As a pass rusher.
Made famous for that one hit against Michigan where he popped dude's helmet off, made him fumble, and recovered it.
Yep.
It was a monster play. As soon as he walked into the league, he got hurt. He made 3 Pro Bowls from 2016 to 2018, but even in those seasons, they weren't all that overly impressive.
Never had more than 9 sacks in a year, man.
In those 3 seasons combined, he had 24 and a half sacks.
There you go.
We've seen people get 22 and a half sacks in one season. Exactly. He had 24 and a half in 3 Pro Bowl years.
Ouch.
I mean, what he's averaging last season, he averaged 0 sacks because he didn't have a single one.
Right.
2.4 tackles and a half a tackle for loss per game.
Jeez.
And he's getting $10 million?
Yeah. That better be highly incentive based.
It's not. The $10 million, he's got $7 million guaranteed.
Oh my God.
$1 million in playing time incentives, $1 million in sack incentives, which he won't get. $900,000 in signing bonus and a $470,000 roster bonus.
Do you know how much the sack incentive is? Like how many sacks does he have to give?
I don't know how many, but it's $1 million in sack incentives, so he's not getting it. And it doesn't. I mean, if the sack incentive is 10, he's not getting it.
Right, yeah. People were
He's
talking
never
about
done it.
over or under 8 sacks for Clowney. I was like, under. I don't think he'll be able to produce, and I don't think he'll be healthy. I'm off that train. He has been in the NFL for 8 years now. Like you said, kid got drafted when I was in high school as a number 1 overall pick as a defensive end. No doubt that he was a baller at South Carolina. No doubt about that. But coming to the NFL, never able to stay healthy and extremely overrated, like you said. Very overrated.
Even in South Carolina, his great games were spotty. Like, all right, he would kill some teams and he gets double teamed, can't beat it, wouldn't get sacks.
Exactly.
So it's really not anything surprising. It was like a prisoner of the moment thing that he's 6'5", 255 and runs a 4.3 or 4.5 340.
Yeah.
That's what got him drafted up there because he's a freak of nature, but he's inconsistent and overpaid.
Move him to the linebacker position. Tell him to lose a little weight, get a little more limber, and move him to the linebacker position. I mean, because defensive end is a physical position. Not that linebacker's any less physical because you got to be ready for anything to come through that line, but give him a little more space to work with. Give him a little more time to collect himself as the play is coming together because I will say the immediate impact from a defensive end in the trenches, that's a lot on your body. I mean, it's a miracle. We've seen J.J. Watt struggle with his health, and he's still coming out for another season. Hasn't been healthy in 5 years, really. And he's still coming out for another season. He's
got the kind of size where if you worked him into a linebacker spot that he could actually guard, like he could cover the premier tight ends in the league.
Exactly.
He has the size and the speed, but that's not what he does.
Exactly. At a 4.53, that is special for a defensive. That's like some Jason Taylor speed.
Like he could cover a Kelsey or a Kittle. He could cover Gronk.
He would have to lose some weight, but he could do it. He could definitely do it. He would just have to really, and that's been another thing. He hasn't looked in shape. He has not looked in shape within the last few seasons either. And you can see it on the field. NFL is one of those things where if you're not in shape, it's immediately going to show. You will immediately see on the field if you are not in shape. It'll show in the numbers. And you're recorded 24/7 in the NFL. It's going to show up on the tape.
No question. Hard to be in shape when you're hurt.
Exactly.
Every season.
Exactly.
He can't stay, like he can't condition because he's always hurt.
Yep.
It's actually pretty sad.
Yeah, I agree, man. Because so much potential. Like I said, Jason Taylor speed. Like when I actually watched him in college, when I saw that speed off the line and how quick he was in the backfield, I was like, this guy could be he could be generational. Seriously, you don't see too many defensive ends coming out of college that quick. Like people are talking about Kyle Pitts speed. Nah, Jadeveon Clowney speed at the size he was at rushing the passer. That's scary. That is absolutely scary.
Absolutely, man. So we're gonna flip this to the other side of the football. Is Baker Mayfield going to be able to hold up like he did last season?
I do think so. I think so because the culture's been changing. We see that he was much better. After OBJ went down in week 7, he threw 2 interceptions. He actually climbed his way up in the Pro Football Focus rankings to become the 6th best passer that season. Sounds crazy. Baker Mayfield, top 8. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and Deshaun Watson for 1, 2, and 3 through the whole season. And you had Patrick Mahomes up there, of course. But Baker coming in at 6th. The culture has changed now. Stefanski, it's a guy that's in there. He's not extremely young, but he's not obviously barking up like Pete Carroll is. He's keeping him motivated. He's keeping him in a system that's consistent because Baker went through so many offensive coordinators, through so many coaches. I knew Freddie Kitchen was a goner before he even got in there. Like I was like, yeah, he's going after the season. I was shocked he even made it through half of the year. But when you look at what Baker had gotten back to after week 7, 7, we're seeing a Lincoln Riley version of Baker Mayfield. Calm, collected, extremely confident, and accurate thrower of the football. A lot of people forget when he came into the league and he was having those accuracy problems, that's what got him drafted number 1 overall out of Oklahoma. People love the accuracy, the ability to throw on the run, the mobility. I think even if he gets in more shape, we could maybe see him turn into like a smaller Josh Allen. Not the power, but the fact that he can throw on the run, he's got the arm, and if he could add that mobility to his game, I think the Browns would definitely become a more of a transitional team because the defense could be there for years to come if they make the right moves in the draft, because as of now, they got to get something going because the way they cleaned the defensive line out, I'm very disappointed in the front office in Cleveland.
Yeah, the defensive line is weak, but as far as Baker is concerned, I mean, that offense is stout.
It is.
And they got 2 strong running backs. They have a very good wide receiving core along with the tight ends, and the schedule is favorable.
Right.
Like it's always about the schedule. I know people don't like to take that into consideration, but how good your season is depends on what defenses are you playing.
Exactly.
I mean, he's got his division, which Pittsburgh clearly lacks in the secondary. So I don't care how good the front 7 was, they could not defend the pass, and he exploited it in consecutive weeks.
Yep.
He did it in week 17 and then turned around and did it even worse in the wild card.
Yeah.
So Pittsburgh's not a problem for him.
Back-to-back.
The Cincinnati Bengals defense leaves much to be desired, so he's not going to have problems with those 2 games. They're playing the AFC West this year. Kansas City's defense, the Chargers defense, the Raiders defense. I've yet to name anyone who is going to give him troubles.
Right.
He's going to have good outings against these teams. Denver has a defense, so they don't have an offense. I mean, that could be a game depending on what they do in the draft. But on the other side of it, they got the NFC North.
Yep.
Green Bay's defense is not putting up any fight. Chicago has a very stout defense. Chicago could be one of those teams that's a problem. But now what we've named one game, if they have an issue with the defense.
Right. I think they'll be able to suffice with a few of them.
They play the Cardinals. They play at New England. I mean, that's a pass defense that could give him trouble.
Yep.
But their run game was good enough to where they can mask him. Like if they can get Hunt and Chubb off, he doesn't have to throw that much.
And the offensive line, you're not even mentioning any defensive lines that are really going to challenge them. The Browns' offensive line last year was arguably the best in the NFL, especially with the way that Hunt and Chubb were able to work in that backfield. Whether you're popping it up the middle between the tackles, going around the edge, swing pass, screen pass, whatever it would have been. Their line was immaculate last year. And if they can build on top of that, along with supplementing again more of that defensive line, they will be a team to compete years to come. I have no doubt about it.
Yeah, Minnesota, Chicago, and New England will be the toughest games defensively for Baker.
Yeah.
That's not to say those are the only teams that will beat them.
We always have that one defense that just comes out of nowhere, and they're like, wow, they're actually defensively sound this year.
They do play Green Bay and Kansas City. They have teams on their schedule that will come in there and beat them. Right. But just as far as giving Baker problems, I only see 3 teams that are actually geared up to really give Baker a hard time. Like he's going to have probably the best year of his career next year.
He could.
Especially with a 17th game.
Exactly. He's primed for it. He's definitely primed for it. And like I said, regular offseason, hopefully, Stefanski, continuity, players in there. I mean, if they could figure out how to move OBJ effectively, they could just complement that offense that much more. Maybe get a B plus level receiver and go get a tight end possibly. I mean, you could use OBJ for some picks. People out there will still have collateral for him as glass as he is seeming. People would still put up picks for him, and you can make it work for you. Seriously.
Now, I've already told you where he's going.
Oh, yeah, we know. Waiting on that one to happen.
OBJ is going to the New England Patriots for Stephon Gilmore.
That one is very logical. But see, I don't want to reveal it yet. See, I got Gilly going somewhere else. I got Gilly going somewhere else with a crazy trade and maybe some collateral. I don't want to spill it, though.
Pats need that number 1 receiver and the draft pick that Cleveland will have to give along with OBJ.
Mm-hmm.
Because they need to use that pick for a draft day trade.
Yeah, they will have to send that one over. They will have to.
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely coming. So, man, it's already been hot and heavy. I don't even want to take a break, but sometimes you got to pay these bills. Man, we're going to throw this thing over to my man Mike Bell Baisden to go ahead and let you know what it is, what it do.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate that, Fees. Thank you for tuning in tonight. You are watching and listening to Petty Sportz Wednesday Night Edition, brought to you all by Kings Broadcasting Studio. We thank you so much. Share the show. We greatly appreciate it. for everyone that has, and if you haven't, what you're waiting for. Go to kingsbroadcasting.com. That's Kings with a Z. kingsbroadcasting.com. Check out some of the merch, the Petty Sportz. We got some new Petty Sportz shirts in. The Z is on the name now. Petty Sportz with the hoodies, the T-shirts. You got your mugs. You got your tumblers. You got all kind of stuff over there, man. Just go check us out. And at the very bottom of the page, there is a donate button. You can donate as much money as you would like, and it will be greatly appreciated to help us keep bringing forth all of this great content. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the artist formerly known as Prince tonight, and to you, ladies and gentlemen. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're right here with these two guys. Famous Facts Fees, Adam Lewis, bringing that heat like they do every week, talking big football, talking basketball. Oh, man, just stay tuned. Got plenty more where that came from, all right? ATL. Hold now back to the regularly scheduled program.
Appreciate you, Mike. You know you're the goat out there paying the bills for us. Guys, we're about to get into some hot and heavy topics, and we don't ever have any callers on the show. You already know, call the Petty line, 678-871-9602. Call in, give us your take. Doesn't even have to be what we're talking about. Call us up, say anything. Give us your best take, give us your worst take, give us a medium take. It doesn't matter. Talk about what we're talking about, man. We want to get some engagement in the show. Hit us up in the chat as well. But we got a great one coming up right here. This one, I never thought I'd catch myself talking about this guy, but the way he has moved his career from one aspect to another, and he just came out of a fight. He's 3-0 now. We know who it is. Jake Paul officially knocked out UFC fighter, Ben Askren in the first round Saturday night in Atlanta. Crazy fight. $2 million bet between Dana White and Snoop Dogg that is now controversial because Dana White really bet $1 million against Jake Paul. And Snoop said, okay, I'll match you on it. And I'll take Jake to win. Jake won. Now it's up in the air. But this is crazy overall because now you have a guy, YouTuber, turned professional boxer, 3-0. A lot of scrutiny about him. A lot of people hate him. A lot of people love him. He's got a big fan base, over 50 million followers on social media. And this is a guy that is really the landscape that is going on right now throughout the both of them is absolutely insane because you see him moving from such an iconic career in YouTube. You would have thought he never moved. Now he wants to go take it and go in a completely other direction. So tell me, what do you think? Are you impressed with the fact that he is transitioning from a YouTuber to a boxer? Before we get into any more about it, what do you think of Jake Paul's career so far?
Man, I'm not impressed with it. And it's not a shot at Jake Paul. He's not fought any boxers. He beat up an NBA slam dunk champion, and you beat up a retired UFC guy, not a former UFC champion. Ben Askren only fought 3 UFC fights. He's an MMA fighter. He was in Bellator and a couple of other different leagues as far as MMA is concerned.
Yep.
His UFC career, he's 1-2. He got 1 submission win, got knocked out in 5 seconds. Mind you, the fastest UFC knockout in the history of the league was against Ben Askren. 5 seconds, flying knee, bam, lights out.
Who slept
Done. I don't even remember who it was. Actually, it was whoever it is. He's fighting on Saturday. It was who's Usman fighting? Yeah,
Masvidal.
That's who did it.
Oh my God!
Beat him in 5 seconds. That's who slept him, and then he turned around and got submitted in his other fight, and he retired. So it was like, okay, dude is 36 years old, retired 2 years ago, came into the ring. He's a wrestler. That's his profession. Like that's his trade. Everyone in UFC has a specialty. His is wrestling. He's not a boxer, not a striker, wasn't a kickboxer, wasn't good at jiu-jitsu, didn't do any of that. He's a wrestler.
Yep.
It's not surprising at all that he went out there and got knocked out. As Jake Paul is actually, he's been training to box. He's got a mean right hand and he's big, and he generally is fighting guys who are smaller than him. So it's like he's getting the fights, he's getting his money, he's doing his thing, but no, I'm not impressed. And I'm even furthermore disgusted at the fact that Floyd Mayweather he put out a list of cities that he would like to have a fight against Jake Paul. Why? You don't get to fight Floyd. And Floyd Floyd fights at 147. This dude, Jake Paul, is fighting at 190.
God.
I mean, as good as Floyd is,
right?
I'm not sure that he could handle. Like, if Jake Paul lands one of those blows, that the weight discrepancy is like, this isn't a good look for the sport.
Right.
You don't want to see Floyd lose his zero
you about to piss
Jake
a lot
Paul.
of people off. Jake Paul's right hand on Floyd Mayweather's chin.
That could be disgusting, man.
He said it, not me. Woo. Oh,
I'm not saying I would pick Jake Paul in that fight, but what potentially could come of that? What for?
Right.
What are you doing? Don't fight him.
What would that actually do for the sport of boxing if that would to be the turnout? Oh, my God.
You already saw what Floyd did to Conor, but they actually are the same size.
Right.
Like, for those that don't know, they're little guys.
Yeah.
5'8", 147. I mean, that's what he fights at. So, I mean, I assume his natural walking around weight can't be more than 160, 165. He's still a little dude.
Exactly.
He's tiny.
I don't think he would jump to higher to maybe 160 or 165 to fight Jake if he did it. And that's a big jump for Floyd, really. If he's fought at 147, yeah, that's a huge jump for a boxer, bro. I'm definitely right there with you. So, Jake Paul, the YouTuber, turned a boxer. This guy has definitely been interesting because when you look at all the money he's made, the following that has grown through YouTube, but now he wants to transition and go into this era of boxing. And I'll tell you now, I respect him because this is a young man chasing his dreams, taking fights that actually have a lot of fluff around them. I'll break down some of them for you to actually understand where these rivalries, where these matches came from, and how it ended up actually unfolding for Jake Paul in that time. I mean, you got the first fight, obviously, with the YouTuber, Gib coming out. Are we good, guys? My fault. Am I like out of the... Okay, cool. My fault. My fault, guys. Thought we were... All right, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. All right. Appreciate you. So...
Rewind.
Yeah, we good, man. So going from Jake Paul being a YouTuber to a boxer, he is trying to chase his true dream is what I feel like is boxing. He's taking it super serious. At least he's trying to faking it to the media, getting these fights under his belt. And more than anything, I'm not going to down on a kid because he wants to truly chase his dream and expand his career even further. Made $75 million in earnings off of this fight alone. Over 1 million pay-per-view buys. Yeah, he's flexing with $1 bills, which definitely doesn't help his case, but we know Jake Paul doesn't give a damn at the end of the day. But everyone's acting out here like he's just getting handed these wins. And you look at the first fight against the YouTuber Gib, they were both amateurs at that point, both absolute amateurs at that point. Jake Paul, that was his debut fight, and you had Gib coming in as well, being off a YouTuber in his debut fight. Only went one round. They both looked pretty ugly. Jake Paul looking just a little bit better, but he did get the TKO. So there's his legit 1-0 for everybody that wants to take it away from him. He fought another YouTuber as well. It was both their professional boxing debut. He came out, got the 1-0. So now he's moving on to the next fight. And you've got Nate Robinson. And a lot of people don't know that Nate Robinson actually initiated this in a TMZ interview. He wasn't crazy. He wasn't barking about it, but there was enough passion to where it caught some traction. And Jake Paul said, okay, cool. And I'll even quote Nate Robinson here for you. I want all the smoke. I'm a top tier athlete. You beating me probably would be the biggest accomplishment for your boxing career, social media career, whatever it may be. That's your biggest claim to fight right now is knocking out Nate Robinson in the ring. So come do it. I'll put everything on the line to fight you. That was Nate Robinson specifically once all this traction got going. So what does Jake Paul do? Being fresh in the game? Of course he'll take the fight. Why not? He thinks he could whoop his ass, and he worked Nate Robinson again. Not another beautiful fight. We could tell Nate Robinson was really tight in there, but once Jake got in, hit him with the hands, and it was over with. Now we have memes all over, and Nate Robinson shouldn't have taken the fight. He didn't need to, but at the end of the day, Jake Paul stepped in, chasing his dreams, and took the fight. So now he's 2-0. Still got my respect. All boxers talk smack. All boxers love to talk. Now this third fight is where it really got skewed, and you got to dig into some interviews. You got to dig into some tweets, see what's actually leading up to this fight happening. So he goes and gets Ben Askren. But as he's fishing for Ben Askren, do people tell you that he also called out Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, Dylan Dennis, who seems to be on the slate for him now, and also Jorge Masvidal, who is going to be fighting this Saturday, along with Ben Askren at the end, retired champion, 1-2 in UFC, 19-2.
Not a UFC. Well, okay, he did get a belt, but
right. All these numbers, we got to pull him in. 19-2 as a professional fighter, more of a wrestler than anything, but it's Ben Askren's comments that really it's just a win for Jake Paul at this point. Comes in and saying, oh, boxing, that seems kind of easy. I'm sure I could do that. Seems kind of safe to me. Then he loses, comes out in an interview just a couple days ago after getting embarrassed on national television. Yeah, he made his money. And he even went as far as admitting, I made more in that one fight than I did in my 9 Bellator MMA fights. He made a little over $300,000, about $350,000 in those MMA fights. That one purse for losing against Jake Paul, $500,000, easy, right down there in Atlanta. Comes out after the loss and says, this fight doesn't mean anything to me, but it was cool how it captured the public's attention. So that there, it's like, why does it matter to you at all if the public captures it? If you truly don't care, it just goes back to these boxers talking it forward, bringing it back once they get their ass beat in the ring. We've seen it time and time again. Then he goes to say, okay, maybe he's good. Maybe he does hit that hard. I just don't think I defended the overhand right well. Maybe he is a good boxer. Let's see him fight somebody and then maybe I'll believe in him. All these maybes, all these pulling back from it after you're saying, oh, that seems safe, I'll go box the kid. He happily came out of retirement via social media to take this fight against Jake Paul. And then at the very end of the whole thing, which this is what just made me say, okay, Ben Askren, honestly, he's looking like a lame ass at this point. Going out and saying, why were people so interested in two guys who weren't very good at boxing? It's mind-blowing to me, but you just said in the same interview moments before that it was fascinating. I think this just shows that Ben Askren absolutely is cowering down from the moment. I get it, you're 1-2 in the UFC, but you happily brought your ass out of retirement to get in the ring and got your ass worked by a YouTuber per se, who is now 3-0 in his professional boxing career. I'm not claiming anything for Jake Paul to be an all-time great, to be the next transitional boxer, if he's even helping the game of boxing. Give the kid his respect, though. He's chasing his dreams. And let's also look at the grand landscape of boxing. When we talk about some of the household names like Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, Evander Holyfield, who the hell did they fight in their first 3? Nobody. Go look at who they fought. Most of them have losing records in their first 3 rounds, in their first 3 matches as a professional boxer. I know he's going to have maybe Dylan Dennis on the slate and Conor McGregor, and he could get slept at that time, but he's still 3-0 as a boxer. He took every fight. He talked smack in every fight, and he won every fight. He's increasing his net worth at the end of the day, chasing his dreams. Kid's got my respect is all I got to say, man. I've got respect for Jake Paul.
The difference in those guys and his start, we did not see their early fights.
Right.
We just heard about them.
Exactly.
They weren't pay-per-view events.
Now we're seeing.
Nobody watched it. Mm-hmm. There was no hype or fanfare until they actually came. I mean, I remember watching Roy Jones on Tuesday night fights. Roy Jones, and we was like, yo, like this dude right here is the truth. Like, man, wait till he gets his shot.
Right. And he's fighting on Tuesdays.
Yeah, like that was on the way back. I think that was on like USA.
Yeah.
It used to come on like back in the 90s. I used to watch him boxing before he even like really got a name.
Yep.
But it's like, man, outside all of that, like who would you want to see him fight next?
So, like I said, Dylan Dennis has been on the slate, and I'll paraphrase. We're gonna be friendly out here, but he's saying on Instagram, go ahead, get the contract out, sign it. I'll put this guy to sleep. In the nicest terms, that's what Dylan Dennis is out there saying. Dylan Dennis is a bad dude. I really think Jake Paul could be running into some trouble if he gets in the ring with Dylan Dennis. Tyron Woodley was in Ben Askren's corner. We know the dog that Tyron Woodley is. This man can wrestle, but he can also box with the best of them. This guy is an absolute athlete, definitely an all-time fighter in my opinion when you're talking about Tyron Woodley. You've also got Uriah Hill coming out and saying, I'd beat your ass with one hand. You don't even deserve my right. People are going that far to saying that Jake Paul is literally nothing, and I don't think he's nothing at this point. The kid's making a name. I'm not going to be out here and act like he's fought this, and that. But people are acting like he's calling these nobodies out when he's giving you a list. Then the media just wants to sit on top of him and say, nah, he just wanted to fight this scrub. The kid's 3-0. He's got some more fights coming. I mean, you got an ex-NBA player and a boxer now, I think Kendall Hill coming out saying, get you some real competition. So Jake Paul's definitely spicing people up, and At the end of the day, he's doing nothing but setting the future up for his career that much better because he's winning his fights. He's getting in the spotlight, and his name is now in other people's mouths. We almost had the Logan Paul and Mayweather. You don't think Jake would have tried to have some influence in that? The dude is a social media influencer. He can influence anybody. The guy's a master at psychology. Look at how he ran social media. He is definitely going to have not a bright future, but he's setting it up well for himself is all I'll say. I don't think he's going to go down as an all-time great, got to be a transitional fighter, anything like that. But the kid does have my respect at the end of the day.
But I think if he really wants to get his name out there the way he's trying to and actually get boxing respect, he needs to fight an actual boxer.
Absolutely.
And someone in his weight class.
Absolutely.
He keeps fighting little dudes. He fights people who don't box, who aren't fighters. It's like, man, go get a retired light heavyweight champion that doesn't fight anymore. Step inside the ring with Roy Jones, Antonio Tarver, Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah.
If you get in the ring with one of them and hold your own, he doesn't even have to win that fight.
Right.
He would get so much more respect just from the boxing community if he fought one of them. And it's like, oh, he's actually got some real live boxing skills. I mean, anyone who's trained to box, who fights non-boxers, can get in there and look good because they're not boxers.
Right.
I mean, he's put a lot of time into the craft.
He has.
It's not to say that he's a top-class boxer, but he's been boxing.
Exactly.
And the people that he's fighting have not.
Exactly.
It's like, get in there against an actual boxer, hold your own. If you so happen to actually beat a reputable boxer in your weight class, then we can give you that shine. Even against Nate Diaz, it's like, man, he's a really good MMA fighter.
I think Nate Diaz would whoop his ass.
Nate Diaz is little.
But Nate Diaz is nasty. Look what he did to Conor in the decision match.
He's little.
But he's nasty, bro. Those hooks, those uppercuts.
He's still tiny, man.
You think Paul would work him?
He's too little. If Paul catches him, that 190 dropping on a 150 dude,
Yeah.
he fought Conor. Conor is no bigger than Floyd Mayweather, which means Nate Diaz, I don't know how much he weighs,
Yeah.
but I promise you he's not more than 155.
He looks like Slenderman in the octagon. He's very
He's
lanky.
not more than 155.
Right.
If he catches one of them paws, he get dropped too.
Yeah.
He's too little.
Right.
It's way out of his weight class, so I don't want to see him fight Nate Diaz either.
Right.
I want to see him fight someone his size that's an actual boxer.
I want the Dylan Dennis fight. I'm here to tell y'all now, Dylan Dennis is on Instagram ready. Bring the check. Bring the pen. Let's sign it now. I want to get in the ring with this kid. I'm down for it. I will say, though, his 3 wins are validated. His 3 wins are absolutely validated in his career. Might not be great, but they're at least validated. They're real wins because of how they played out. Now let's see if he gets him a real piece. I think it's got to be Dylan Dennis next. I want to see Dylan Dennis in the ring. No question with him.
Absolutely. So, man, we're going to keep this thing live and direct with MMA, staying with the UFC. We've got Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. Uh-oh, it sounds like we got a phone call.
Uh-oh.
Somebody calling the petty line?
Yes, sir. Let's go. Y'all better not be faking me out now.
I hear the bed squeaking. That means somebody on the petty line.
Oh, I'm sorry. We still in. Who we got?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for calling Petty
thank
Sports. You on the petty line. Caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Man, what's up? This is Bank.
Uh-oh.
D-Beezy. What's poppin', man?
Uh-oh.
Man, listen. Man, y'all talking about this Jake Paul cat, and your man talking about he may get some respect from him because he's doing this, living out his dream. You can't compare him to any other pure boxer that's out there. They came up with the Golden Gloves and all that, and they cut their teeth in this thing. He better stay a cash cow and make his money while he can. He step into a ring with a real boxer, a real fighter, don't get his ass touched. He gets in the ring with somebody with his own weight class, he's going to get touched. Y'all believe his YouTube shit if y'all want to. It ain't real.
Okay, who is he fighting next?
Say again?
Who is he fighting next? Who would you like to see Jake Paul in the ring with next?
Well, I don't know. Anybody that steps up, any real fighter that steps up, I think he should fight instead of these cash cow things. If we fuck with...
He did to Conor. Literally just dissected Conor the whole match.
Listen, this guy here he's a YouTube sensation. He's good for pay-per-view and things of that nature. He's good for his own pocket. But let's not be confused with the fact that sweet spine is what it is. He's not any of that.
Oh, I mean, he's absolutely not. I mean, that's what I was saying. I want to see him actually fight a reputable boxer, someone who actually fought in light heavyweight, who is his size and actually boxes.
Yeah,
And stop fighting little dudes that don't box.
Right, and we can even say his next fight, if it is against a Dylan Dennis or whoever it may be, that would be the start of his professional career. I'll say the 3 fights he's been in, they're validated. I'll go as far as to say, though, not yet he's a professional because, I mean, look, what fighter has truly been in the ring with him? He's just stepped up to get some sort of clout around his name, which, honestly, you have to with this day and age.
Oh, my man Nate Davis, Wes Davis say Nate Diaz fought at 180.
Whew. Wow.
The minute he gets his ass knocked out, he's done.
Yeah,
The minute he gets his ass knocked out, he's done.
He'll have at least one more after he gets dropped.
Yeah.
So we'll still want to see it one more time, see if if that was a fluke or if he can bounce back.
Right. Yeah, because you see, like, Conor McGregor, coming out of retirement, he even said being inactive in this business doesn't help you. So not that Paul will be inactive, but it'll definitely be a mentality check. It'll be okay, are you truly here for it, or was this just a 3, 4, 5 fight run? So,
but you're taking a guy who was a former champion that cut his teeth in this thing that came from the ground up, not a YouTube sensation.
Oh, absolutely.
This does not happen overnight. The problem we have right now in this microwave society is people think they can jump into any goddamn sport and do it. Look at Tebow thinking he can be an MLB player. It doesn't happen. It's so ticket for the Mets. This failed ticket. He stepped into a ring with a guy that came up with Golden Glove, been doing this shit all their life. They're going to knock his ass out.
Yeah. Respect it, bro. Love to take, man.
I'm going to sign out, fellas.
Appreciate you calling in.
For sure,
Yes,
for sure.
sir.
So, man, Dwight Banks, appreciate you for calling in.
Yes, sir.
Hey, everybody weighing in on Jake Paul. He's a hot topic these days, even though he's not even a real fighter. Everybody want to talk about it.
The way I look at it is like, look at you and I, Fees, in the studio right now. We're still small. We got a great following. We're growing every day. We're chasing our dreams because this is what we want to do. How many people have we seen, these TikTok stars, they'll be showing their ass on social media just to strike a deal, or they'll be playing video games just to strike a Nike deal? Like, I think this was a thing where, because you got to think, it probably takes a lot of money, even if it was terrible by Triller Fight Club. Awful promotion. Still got the pay-per-view buys.
Yep.
Even, it actually came in at number 10 overall for pay-per-view buys.
What's that?
Paul and Askren. Number 10 all time.
All time?
All time in
Wow.
pay-per-view buys. Number 10. Yeah, that was spoke levels to me, because that's up there with some Floyd fights. That's up there with, that's up there, because I think Tyson and Holyfield 1 and 2 is at like 6 and 7. And Jake Paul's at 10?
That's why Floyd's talking about fighting him. It's money.
Exactly. Floyd will get how much you think Floyd will make if he fights Jake Paul?
Oh, I mean, he'll probably get $100 million
That's
off
what
of a non-boxing fight.
Shoot, I was thinking like maybe 250.
I don't know, man.
I mean, he get at least 100.
Floyd just walks in and names his price.
Well, I mean, he'll take all the money. So Jake Paul ain't getting no money out of it.
Right.
He's gonna be like, yo, this is gonna be a 90-10 purse. He's like, your name is not the headline.
I'm beating your
You're
ass.
not getting any of the money.
I'm beating your ass and I'm robbing you.
He's like, we'll put on a show. It's gonna go for $400 million. I'm gonna take 350 of them, and you still won.
Right. Oh God, dude.
Like, you ain't never got 50 million for stepping in the ring with me. So, man, just like I said, man, we're gonna keep this thing to the world of fighting. MMA, UFC, Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, Part 3. We've already seen him fight 2 times. First time, Conor McGregor knocked him out. Minute 46 of the first round back in 2014. Then we most recently saw them square off again back in January, where Poirier caught him in a second round knockout. So what can you expect in the third bout of this trilogy?
This third bout really, we were just talking about Nate Diaz, and it makes me think that this third bout coming up is going to be a Diaz-McGregor 2. It's going to be a knockdown, drag out, back and forth, round after round, punch after punch. I mean, we're going to be splitting hairs, I think, by the end of this one, because you look, Conor's off 2 losses, and oddly enough, with Conor being off 2 losses, he's still favored to win this. Coming off 2 straight losses, pretty ugly ones at that too. Still favored to come in and win this fight. And then you have Poirier as well, who in the second fight came out extremely pissed off. You could see the chip on his shoulder. And the crazy thing for me was Conor McGregor absolutely dominated the first round of that second fight. I was like, okay, here goes McGregor. Gonna get him a reputable win, because I didn't give a damn when he beat Cowboy Cerrone. I was like, dude, he's beating up on an old man. Like, you want to talk about Paul and Askren? McGregor and Cerrone was a joke. Like, that was just a little bit of name to get him back into the spot. But after coming off of that loss, him being favored, and then you have Poirier, who was really getting worked in that first match. Like I said, I thought Conor was cruising to another one, and then just a few leg kicks on Conor, getting that mobility off. And then when he caught him with that 1-2, Conor just went down. It really, really made me question, okay, does Conor still have the durability? Like, does he still have the resilience, the notorious one that he's grown himself and become to be? And I think Conor McGregor could definitely come in and win this fight. But Dustin Poirier, at the same time, has an extreme chip on his shoulder because, one, knowing that he just won the previous fight months ago, they're just meeting a little bit down the road in the grand scheme of things. Same dude, same bat time, same bat place, it feels like. Like, it's time to get going. And I could either see Conor taking it to a KO or decision, or Poirier in the very end. You got Conor, the durability's wearing down, the resilience isn't what it used to be. Maybe a submission. Conor's been submitted for 4 out of his 5 losses in his career, and the only other knockout is against the gentleman he's facing next.
He's only been knocked out once. That was the first time Conor's ever been knocked out in UFC competition.
And he's favored off a knockout.
That was, I would give that 75% to conditioning.
Conor, he even said it. You can't be inactive in this
Conor
business.
worked him in the first round,
He did.
and you saw halfway through the first round,
Conor
he
easily
started.
won the first round.
He got tired. He was fighting flat-footed.
Yep.
He wasn't moving like he normally moves. In the second round, he was still dominating until he got caught.
Yep.
He got caught. It was too much. So, I mean, hey, I can't take anything away from Dustin Poirier. He did what he was supposed to do.
Yep.
But Conor was still the better fighter, even out of shape.
Yep.
So now this fight will be 5 months after the fact, with him to get all this time to get his conditioning together. Then Conor will come back and knock out Poirier again.
Whew.
Second round knockout Conor. He's taking Poirier out. He's just the better fighter. He's more polished. His striking is better. Poirier doesn't really have anything for him. He caught him out of pure fatigue. He's not going to be tired. He's had time to train. He's probably training as we speak.
Yeah.
Conor comes out there in shape and ready to go. No way he loses to Poirier again. And then he'll get his name back. He seems like he's calmed down the trash talking just a bit. So I mean, he'll actually give Poirier credit for being a great fighter, and then he'll come on and really hype up his next fight.
Oh, man. I see this thing being close, dude. I see it being a knockdown, drag out. Like I said, I really could see this thing going to decision because this is a trilogy where these two guys are extremely familiar with themselves. They both know what's coming to the table. And at the end of the day, this was their previous fight. So they're meeting right back up again. Same time, like I said, same place. And I think this one's going to go the distance. I really do think that this match could go the distance because the fight that both of these guys are going to bring in the octagon, the fact that Conor is favored off of getting knocked out by the same dude, absolutely blows my mind. So this fight is going to be it's going to be one of the best fights of the year, I think. Absolutely.
The fight is in July.
Yep.
Hey, we can place a Petty Sportz wager on it. I don't know if you want to put some JMO on it. We can put Petty Sportz push-ups on it. We can just bet a whole bunch of them. That's going to be a new thing.
Petty Sportz push-ups.
Your take is wrong. You got to do push-ups. You're going to be strong around here. It ain't got to be a whole lot of them. We'll do 10 push-ups per wager.
10 push-ups
and we'll build them up.
Okay.
I got 10 on Conor.
On Conor winning in the decision?
Conor knockout.
Conor knockout. Okay, I've got Conor in a decision. I've got Conor in the decision.
All of that, and you still picking Conor?
Yeah, in a decision, though. In the decision.
Man.
Poirier loses, and we're both good.
Oh, get out of here.
And we're both good. Well, Poirier, he looked like...
absolutely picked Poirier your entire take. And now you're like, I got Conor by decision.
No, I wasn't picking Poirier at all. I was saying Poirier could win by submission. 4 of the last losses, 4 of the 5 losses to Conor have been in submission. That is something that could happen again. I'm not saying either guy's going to take it by a slide, but the fact that Conor is favored off of a knockout Vegas knows something. I think Conor in a decision. Sorry you thought I was taking Poirier. It's Conor for a decision for me. We calling off the push-ups now?
Oh, no, still push-ups. I got Conor by knockout.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
If Poirier wins, Gary and Bell got to do push-ups.
That's
How
right.
about that?
There we go. That works for us. We know Mike don't need them.
Mike will do all of them. He walk around here like Debo. So, man, speaking of Mike Bell, we at the top of the hour. We about to throw this thing to him. We got some more bills to pay. We got another half a show to go. The Pass Catcher Combine is coming. We got a lot more hot topics for you. Keep it locked.
Yeah, appreciate that. Famous Facts Fees. Ladies and gentlemen, you tune in to the Wednesday night edition of Petty Sports, brought to you by Kings Broadcasting Studio. Thank you so much for tuning in. Share the show. Go to kingsbroadcasting.com, buy your merch, support black business, support black business, said, cause we do. You know what I'm talking about? Every Wednesday, right here from Kings Broadcasting Studio. You can catch these guys 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, all right? You know what I'm saying? Go to Spotify, go to YouTube, go to Apple Podcasts, go to Google Podcasts, all those places right there, man. Catch these guys on Spotify. You know what I'm saying? The podcast airs. You can catch the old shows, and tomorrow this show will be put up for you guys to listen to in your cars or wherever you like to listen to these guys at your favorite spot. So thank you so much once again. We appreciate it. Call in 678-871-9602, 678-871-9602. That's how you can be a part of the show tonight. All right? You know what I'm saying? Thank you once again. Everybody's in the chat room. We see you out there chiming in. Appreciate it. Tavares, Mr. Banks, Justice, Victoria, yeah, and everybody else out there. We appreciate it. And once again, big shouts out to the artist formerly known as Prince. This was the day, April 21st, when he passed away from us and moved on to the higher plane. All right? Yeah. ATL, ho. Back to the regular scheduled program.
Yes, sir. You were listening to Petty Sports, the podcast brought to you by Kings Broadcasting Studios. It's your boy Famous Fees, the host. They call me Facts. I'm here with my man Adam. What's poppin'?
You already know what time it is, man. Second half of the show. Second half. We're already here. God, man, we got a lot coming up. Got some prospects to go through. Some more NFL at the end. Show's been great, man. Show's been great. Hey, appreciate y'all calling in. I know we only have one caller, but it's gonna push us. I feel maybe 2 callers coming in this hour. Please prove me right. Pop in the chat, you know what I'm saying? Make sure to check out Kings Broadcasting Studios. If you're looking to start a podcast, a broadcast, a show, whatever it may be, come check it out here in Atlanta. Powder Springs, excuse me. Great team over here. Mike, Gary, always hooking you up. Graphics, cameras, microphones, desk, insight, business, everything over here, guys. If you're looking to invest in your career, seriously, check out Kings Broadcasting Studios. Kings with a Z. Fees, take us away, man.
Yes, sir. Y'all know how we do. It is now officially time for the Petty Sports Pass Catcher Combine. We had to narrow it down to pass catchers because there is one particular tight end coming out of this draft that absolutely cannot go without mention. So we're going to break down the top 5 pass catchers coming in for the 2021 draft just a week away. A week from tomorrow, we've got the draft. It's here. It is here. So, y'all be ready. Make sure you tune in to us next Thursday night while we go live for the draft.
Yeah, back-to-back shows, guys. If y'all seen the post, if y'all seen the posts on social, if you're a fan of the team, hit us up at What Off Season Sports Pod, at Famous Fees. Ask us to get in the show. We'll bring you on while your team is on the clock. Chop it up. Talk about anything with them. We don't even have to talk about your team if you don't want to keep it to the NFL, though. And then once you pick, we'll get you live reaction. Tell us what you think, where it's going to head for you. And overall, just tune in. It's going to be a really relaxed night. Might have a new setup for you guys. Going to be watching the draft live reactions. I'm excited. I don't care if y'all come, man. I'm going to be here with my boy Fees. We're gonna make it happen, man.
I mean, if you ain't got your hair done, you ain't got your hair cut, you got a little pimple on your face, you don't want to be on Zoom, hit us on the Petty line. It's 678-871-9602. You can holler at us any type of way you can. Call us, Zoom in, chop it up. We want to know what you think about what your team do. And then we'll break that thing down. So, without further ado, we're going to jump into wide receiver number 1. The one and only Heisman Trophy winner, Devontae Smith out of Alabama. Give me your grades.
So, Devontae Smith, this guy's great. I mean, he can run great routes. We know he's got the speed. We know he's got the knowledge. His release is probably the best in the draft. I mean, he really sets himself up to get open in the open field. And when you look at the small frame, it does remind me of maybe a Hollywood Brown, a more polished Hollywood Brown, who's actually going to use his hands when it comes to the catch to extend his catch radius. And at the end of the day, to make a play, this guy will absolutely take a hit in the open field, lay out, truly put his body on the line to make it happen for him in the open field. And Devontae Smith, the crazy part is, until Jalen Waddle got hurt, we really didn't know about Devontae Smith. I mean, this guy's freshman year, I think he had, 8 catches? One of those was just happened to win a national championship game with Tua Tagovailoa. Imagine that there.
Catch.
Right, the big catch. We're like, oh, that was. And he just won the... Oh, there you go. That is Devontae Smith. And you look at his numbers, 117 catches for almost 1,900 yards and 23 touchdowns. Like I said, reminds me a lot of a Hollywood Brown, more committed to the game, a little more in shape, definitely a cleaner route runner in the hands. I mean, they feel like night and day when you see how Devontae Smith actually plays in the open field. And this is great because when he's on the line, this guy is small, and he is going to be one that does get pushed around in the NFL. It will be easy to knock him off balance. And if you've got those corners in there, like a J.C. Horn, who did give him a little bit of work, they'll be able to play real physical with you, knock you off your cuts, and not make you as effective. But when it comes to creating separation, he does use his hands extremely well, whether it's at the line or in the open field, some hand checking. Maybe a little bit of a push off. I mean, I know we don't see them all, so they got to be doing something out there. But the way that Devontae Smith is able to use his hands in the open field to either bring in the catch, complete the play, or to make some separation for himself, this guy is definitely a great pass catcher. I do have him at 3rd overall on my list. The body does concern me, and I think if you're matching up with a guy like maybe a Richard Sherman or a Jalen Ramsey, who's mean as hell, or a Jair Alexander, they could erase him from the game. J.C. Horn's going to be in there as well. I'd love to see these two guys meet up in their first year in the NFL. Like Devontae Smith a lot. Mad respect for him winning the Heisman at the wide receiver position. That is my number 3 pass catcher going in.
Number 3? I don't know what you're smoking. At pass catcher, he's absolutely number 2 on the pass catcher list. Number 1, I'm pretty sure everyone knows who that is. We'll get to him when we get to him.
Right.
Definitely the number 2 guy on the list. First in the NCAA in receptions, first in receiving yards, first in touchdowns. I mean, when's the last time we saw a wide receiver win the Heisman Trophy? Desmond Howard?
Right.
We're talking about early 90s.
Who is that?
It's been a long time. You remember you saw him throw the Heisman pose when he was at Michigan.
Yeah.
Won Super Bowl MVP in 96 when he gifted Brett Favre Super Bowl over the Patriots. Still don't like him for that. But... Man, Devontae Smith is that guy, man. I mean, there's knocks on him for his size because he's only about 175 pounds. But the dude is 6'1", runs a 4.49. He plays faster than even his 40. His 40 isn't slow, but on the field, he runs every bit of that 4.49 in pads on grass. That is different from straight running track speed.
Yeah.
He runs it every day on every play.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude, he runs back punts. I mean, he's electric in the return game. Averaged 21 yards a return and had a touchdown in that. Mm-hmm. I mean, his big, he's a big-time receiver. In the biggest games, that's when he produces. Against UGA, 11 catches, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns. Auburn, division rival, knockout, drag-out game, 7 catches, 171, 2 touchdowns. LSU, another huge rivalry. 8 catches, 231 yards for 3 touchdowns.
Devontae Smith is a machine.
Put him in the SEC championship game. All the bright lights on in the bins. 15 catches for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Golly.
College football semifinal against Notre Dame. Another formidable defense. 7 catches, 130 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
National championship game, Ohio State just blitzed Clemson, one of the best offenses we've ever seen. You expect them to be able to bottle them up? Nah. 12 catches, 215 yards, and 3 touchdowns in the championship.
The first half was insane. Didn't he already have like 2 and over 150 in the first? Yeah.
They didn't need him anymore.
They did, yeah. He didn't even have to play in it. So he was just like, okay, here's extra tape. This is what I can do with a lead. This is what I can do without a lead. This is what I do to get you a lead. And Devontae Smith is a machine.
In the 2 playoff games, he had 19 catches for 345 yards and 6 touchdowns.
God, dude.
And that's supposedly against 2 of the top 4 teams in the country?
Yeah.
Excluding your team, who you practice against every day?
Right, and he shows that he can take that workload early. I mean, you said 15 catches at one point, 7 catches. This guy's definitely busting over 130, 150 yards a game, and that's good because sometimes we do see these receivers receivers come out of college and they might not be a surefire wide receiver 1 or maybe a wide receiver 2, but they show promise and people try to bring them in, misplace them in the system, and it's like, okay, it's not a surprise that he's not able to play the wide receiver 1 position because he didn't have the workload. That's the thing with some of these running backs, like we were talking about Javonte Williams. Guy's a dog, but we don't know if he's going to have the durability to be a true RB1 when he was sharing the backfield with Michael Carter. And then you've got Devontae Smith as well, sharing it with Jalen Waddle, which it's an embarrassment of riches. Like, both of these guys are going to go first round, no question, but Devontae Smith definitely a special one. I would like to see him put on some more weight, though, because I am concerned about when he meets up against a Jalen Ramsey, Jair Alexander, some of those big corners out there. I know he's quick, but we see these little guys get pushed around all the time, man.
He doesn't need the weight to face them just for the mere fact that he is an excellent route runner.
I will agree with you on that.
He has the foot speed.
Yeah.
And against those guys, against Jalen and against Jair Alexander, you have seen the really, really fast wide receivers that have great footwork and run great routes, give them fits.
Yeah.
All you have to do is line him up off the line. He doesn't even have to be in the slot. Put the slot man on the line, take him off the line, and now he's got a little bit of wiggle room where he doesn't get jammed fresh off the line, and they still can't cover him. And he's great playing both spots. He's an outside receiver and a slot receiver. You can run him on the end around. He'll take a bubble screen to the house.
Yeah, he will.
He'll take a quick slant to the house. He'll run by you and hit you with a home run. Like, he's just a complete home run hitter.
I agree.
He's a punt return man with great wide receiver instincts. I mean, there's really no holes in his game. He has excellent visions. Like out there, like when you get that man the ball in space, he sees everything. Just like we talk about some other players, it's like he sees the field from overhead.
Right.
Where he knows where everyone's coming from. Devontae Smith. You see where he's headed, he puts a move on one guy with the next 3 guys in mind already.
Right.
And makes big plays.
Yeah, I have seen that on the scouts, man. People feel like he has a sixth sense almost when it comes to his involvement in a play. Like you said, bird's eye view. And then that just shows the knowledge, the commitment, the study of the game that Alabama continues to enforce in their receivers. I mean, just think about this. Within the last 2 years, Jerry Jeudy, I almost said CeeDee Lamb, but not CeeDee Lamb. You got Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs. You're going to have, obviously, Devontae Smith going. You're going to have Jalen Waddle going. They've already got more receivers over there. Like, Alabama just continues to put elite talent at the running back and wide receiver position, two very vital parts in an offense into the draft. And Devontae Smith, I don't think he's going to fall short at all. I do have to
say that they pumped out Calvin Ridley.
Right, and there you go. Julio Jones back in the day when the Falcons moved millions, like 5 picks. Amari Cooper. See, there's so many, you feel like you forget. I do want to see him gain more weight, though. I do, man. I think he does need just some little more weight up there for him. But I will agree, he is one of the quickest ones, and he might be the best route runner in this draft.
I think the skill that he comes with, he doesn't actually need the weight.
Yeah.
He comes back to the ball aggressively. He doesn't leave his quarterback out to dry. Mm-hmm. You throw him a ball, he's going to come get it. He's going to fight for it, and he wins most of the 50-50 balls.
Yep.
I mean, that along with he already got the NFL awareness. You see him make catches and touch 2 toes on the sideline, even though they only need 1 in college.
Yep.
He constantly got both feet in, like he was trying to show them, I'm ready for Sunday.
Yep.
I mean, I think without question, Devontae Smith is the best wide receiver coming out of this draft.
Whew. We're going to have some discrepancies there.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the discrepancy.
They loaded, baby.
Our next pass catcher in the Petty Sportz Pass Catcher Combine is Jamar Chase of LSU. Where do you grade him?
Absolute baller, man. This is my best pass catcher in the entire draft. Yes, ahead of Kyle Pitts. Yes, ahead of Devontae Smith.
Ahead of Kyle?
Yes, bro. Jamar Chase, what he brings to the table, filling the shoes of Justin Jefferson and being as vital as he was. I know he was a COVID-19 opt-out.
Filling the shoes? He didn't play without him.
Well, there you go.
He only played with him.
Still put up 1,800 yards and 20 touchdowns with 84 catches. Still out there balling next to Justin Jefferson. People talk about this guy. I know I misspoke. They're talking about filling in for him. He was a COVID-19 opt-out. Playing next to him, though, people talking about these two guys as potentially the best college football duo and wide receivers of of all time. A little bit of a stretch for me, and I have to go back and really pick through because we've had a lot of great duos in college through the time. But this is a sharp route runner as well, just like Justin Jefferson. You know he's learning from him from up front. 20 touchdowns, averaging 20 yards a catch as well. And what's crazy is he could still improve actually on his route running. This is another guy who runs very efficient routes, and his size, he's aggressive. He will go up and high point the football. He's either going to mosh you or he's going to make a catch within his huge radius, just like Kyle Pitts will. It's close between him and Pitts. I give Chase the edge, though, because as much versatility as Pitts does bring to the table, I feel Chase will have more opportunities at his time with showing what he did at LSU. And people could be skeptical because of him having the opt-out. But when you look at the season, 84 catches, almost 1,800 yards and 20 touchdowns. Jamar Chase is a true stud. I think he's going to transition well into the NFL, and I'm excited for whatever quarterback gets to throw to him. This is my number one pass catcher. Go ahead and roast me.
Man, look. The fact that he opted out of last season actually tells me a lot. He got off while he was playing alongside of Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
I think he got a lot of looks because people were trying to stop Justin Jefferson. He was the number 2 guy on that squad. He did put up numbers. His numbers were not as impressive as Devontae Smith's, but when you just dig a little bit deeper, his bigger games were not against the better teams. The best games he had were against Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. That's where he burnt folks for 229 and 4 touchdowns, 227 and 3 touchdowns, 197 and 2. When they played Texas, 8 catches, 147, no touchdowns. Now, I'm not scoffing at those numbers at all. That is a very good game. But that was a Justin Jefferson game.
Yeah.
Against Florida, 7 catches, 127, 2 touchdowns. Those are good numbers, but the types of numbers that he had that are transcendent numbers were against the weaker defenses that they still had to focus on the number 1 guy. Against Alabama, 6 for 140 and 1 touchdown. He did break out against Clemson in the championship game. He had 9 for 221 and 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
That was the one game where he had a big game against a top-tier team. The rest of them, all of the rest of his best games were against the lower-level competition. He has great top-end speed. I mean, the dude run a 4.38. So, I mean, he's a big guy, 6 foot, 208, runs a 4.38 40. He's got strong hands, and he will win those 50-50 balls, just like you were saying. He's got a really strong frame, and he's hard to bring down, but he takes off very slow. He's easy to jam. Just like you were talking about, Devontae Smith needs to get size so he can get off for a guy like Jalen Ramsey or anybody. Mm-hmm. He comes off the line slow. Even a smaller corner is going to be able to jam him because it takes a minute for him to get his speed up. He has 4.38 speed, but most of that speed comes 20 yards into that 40-yard dash.
Yep.
He doesn't have the explosive acceleration. He don't take off like that. It's like he needs time to build up. He's missed an entire year of football since he opted out. So, I mean, there's a lot of question marks as to what he's actually going to be. I think he is an awesome wide receiver 2 option somewhere. Mm-hmm. He's not as good a prospect as Devontae Smith, but if he goes to a team that already has a top-flight number 1 wide receiver, him as a number 2 guy, he will come in instantly and eat. But he can't be your guy because he can't get off of coverage. You stick him out there on an island, a top-flight corner is going to handle him, and he's going to look like a rookie.
You said a top-flight corner?
Top-flight corners are going to handle him. Stick him out there on the island against Gilly. Stick him out there on the island against Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, boy.
He's not getting any catches.
Oh, boy. It's funny because the trade-off between him and Devontae, it's like, okay, he's got the size that you would want Devontae to have, but Devontae absolutely has the speed and plays faster than Jamar does. But with Jamar being able to win those 50-50 balls and being able to high point a lot of them, immaculate hands, it is neck and neck, man. I'm really worried.
You have to get out there to get a 50-50 ball. When you got one of those guys on you, they're going to jam you off the line and they'll ride you all the way out of bounds. And the quarterback will never have an opportunity to even throw you a 50-50 ball playing against one of those DBs.
That is possible. He's not weak, though. I mean, he's not a weak receiver. You know what I mean?
That's not to say he's weak. He's not that fast. Like, he's not quick. The acceleration doesn't come, like, fresh off the line.
Right.
He's not just taking off like a lightning bolt.
Yeah, I feel you. I think his size...
He needs a little runway.
Yeah, I think his size will benefit him. Like I said, your trade-off between Chase and Smith is, okay, one has the size, one has the speed. And we'll see because both of these guys, they're going to be great options for their team. And this is the most exciting part is seeing thing out of all these pass catchers is who is actually going to be able to perform at that Justin Jefferson type of level, 1,400 receiving yards. It's a record over Randy Moss. Absolutely insane for the Vikings as well. Got a lot of pass catchers, got a lot of elite pass catchers in this draft.
Devontae Smith is a one guy, wide receiver one. Jamar Chase is more like a Juju Smith.
You think so?
Really, really good wide receiver, not a number one guy. And if you expose him to being that, you see what happened to Juju when AB left.
Yeah. More TikTok dances and 100-yard games.
I mean, I think that Pittsburgh lineup is actually very similar to comparing these two.
Mm-hmm.
Devontae is more like AB and Jamar is more like Juju.
Yeah.
Without Devontae, Jamar is not going to be that. And we saw it when he left there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where Jamar is.
Yeah.
Really good, like top tier number 2 wide receiver.
Whew. Wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
Man. I see where you're coming from, though. I see what you mean. It's just which way you want to go with your trade-off there, honestly.
With what we have in New England, I wouldn't want us to draft Jamar Chase. I would much rather have Devontae. We have 2 guys already.
Yeah.
We need a 1.
Bourne's a strong kid, too. I like Kendrick Bourne.
He's a good 2.
Yep. I'm so upset about N'Keal Harry, though.
We're not going to talk about him anymore. Disappointment of the century.
Awful.
We're going to move on from him to the number 3 guy on our list. Not ranked number 3, but our third pass catcher, Jalen Waddle. We're sticking with Alabama and LSU today. Like that's the trend. That's where the pass catchers are coming from. So we'll go with the 5'10", 182-pound, 4.37 40 Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, dude. Jalen Waddle is an absolute monster. And being at that 5'10" height, this guy, it feels like when you see him on the field, the way that he can use his speed in so many different ways, it feels like he's playing at a 6'2", 6'3" position. He doesn't look tiny. It doesn't look like this guy's under 190 pounds. And he's a speedster in this draft. He is a major playmaker. I mean, you could argue that Jalen Waddle might be the biggest home run hitter at the wide receiver position. The way he can catch it, shoot out of the backfield, shoot off the snap, and I mean, returning the kicks, returning the punts, and he feels like he could be a Swiss Army knife at one point or another. You could use him at wide receiver, or you could use him on a screen pass, maybe bringing him around on an end around 2, obviously having him active in the special teams. And the only thing I don't care for with Jalen Waddle is it does seem like he tries to struggle a little bit with these 50-50 passes, and that ankle injury does kind of concern me because you see the wide receivers in the NFL. Look at Michael Thomas last year. Yes, it was a high ankle injury, but we're talking about another guy, not necessarily huge. Like Michael Thomas does have the height. He's not a big guy, though. You look at Jalen Waddle, who is faster than Michael Thomas, is going to be more of a deep threat. So he's probably going to have more of a workload, more expected out of him. So I hope he can overcome that ankle injury. But overall, Jalen Waddle is going to fall number 4 on my pass catcher list. And there's a lot of talent here. And these 1 through 4, I mean, you could separate them by a piece of floss, man. Honestly, these guys are so elite. They're going to be able to produce wherever they go. And at the end of the day, Jalen Waddle, I do think, is the biggest home run hitter in this draft, and I'd love to see him go to maybe an Eagles. We're potentially talking about a Lions. Some people have said, crazy enough, the New York Giants, which they need to go defense 100%, but wherever Jalen Waddle lands, he's going to be productive, no doubt. Huge home run hitter in this draft.
Oh, yeah, man. Jalen has been explosive his entire career in Bama. I mean, he was the number 1 receiver for Alabama coming into this season before he got hurt.
Yep.
And then we got the emergence of Devontae Smith because Jalen Waddle was that explosive. I was completely unaware that he was that short until I actually looked it up.
That's what I'm saying. The dude
He
plays
looks
big.
like a much bigger receiver.
Yep.
And I mean, the speed is just next level. I mean, he's got the game breaker, super acceleration. Like, he's got that 0 to 60 top end, like an expensive sports car type of speed.
Yep.
Just like the opposite of what I was discussing when we were talking about Jamar Chase.
Yep.
Jamar Chase has the top end speed, but it takes him a minute to get there.
Right. His acceleration's not all there.
Jalen is running at 4.37 as soon as he touches the ball, and if he slows down, when he takes off again, back at the 4.37.
I agree.
He
highly
turns it
agree with that.
right back on. I mean, explosive in the punt return and the kick return game, has that same excellent field vision. He's got very soft hands. He runs great routes. I mean, he's an excellent slot guy.
Yep.
I mean, he's definitely comparable to Tyreek Hill. Like, that's his NFL comparison to what he actually can be to a team.
Right.
You can hit him in the slot, get him on the end of rounds, get him in the return game. There's so many things that you can do with him, and he puts so much pressure on your defense. Even if you're not throwing the ball to him, you have to be concerned with one guy who is that fast. I mean, in the 4 games he played with Bama this season before he fractured his right ankle against Tennessee, he had 25 catches for 557 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, this dude was averaging 21 yards per reception.
Yep.
I mean, that is beyond elite on a wide receiver level. I mean, 11 of his 20 touchdown receptions were for over 50 yards. Like, this dude is just home run waiting to happen.
Extreme vertical threat. He will be the best deep threat coming out of this draft.
Oh, yeah.
He just plays all over the field.
Nick Saban compared this dude's greatness to Kobe, MJ, and Allen Iverson. He says this guy can do things that no one else can do. And when you see it, you're like, we don't have another guy on the team on the field who could actually have done what he just did.
Yeah. Feels like a more polished Henry Ruggs almost, if you think about it. Like, obviously, Ruggs is a very quick, might be like the quickest receiver some people say in the NFL at this point. But Jalen Waddle, like you said, that 4 through 7 speed the
Ruggs
entire
was a
time.
little faster, but Jalen has that field speed.
Right.
And the vision to go with it. So when you put that kind of speed together with somebody who can feel out the positions, put a little half a fake on you, and understand what his speed is, he eats up angles. Even if you have an angle, he takes it because he knows he's faster and he can beat your angle.
I agree, man. I agree. That's like when you saw him on the punt return against, was it Auburn or LSU? And he got spun around as soon as he caught that punt, and that spin literally gave him momentum. He shot the whole way, and I was like, that kid's gone.
Yeah,
I was like, Jalen Waddle's gone. I knew like 3 seconds into that run, I was like, he's about to take that to the house. Because you could tell the way he was striding, he had seen that field form in front of him, and he already knew which way he was going to go and beautifully took it to the crib. One of the best punt returns I've seen in a minute in college football.
Yeah, man. I mean, I got him currently at number 4 pass catcher, but I would be like, I'm very close to placing him ahead of Jamar Chase also.
Right.
If I was picking, then I'd rather have Jalen Waddle than Jamar Chase as well.
Yeah. Jalen Waddle just worries me, though, with those 50-50 catches. But I know he's a vertical threat, and like I said, with him being that downfield threat, the NFL's turning into that. We want more speed. Everybody wants a Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle could potentially give you that there.
He's not a wide receiver one guy. He's a slot guy that's a home run threat. So I don't need him catching 50-50 balls.
Yeah, you are.
I want to get him the
that.
ball in space.
Right. Good way to think about that there, definitely, because you don't have to have him actually commandeering you one spot. Yeah, because he can, but he can also flip back and forth for you as well because he is versatile. That's one thing about those Alabama receivers. They're very versatile.
Yeah, like for what his role is, I think he's better at it. Because from what's going to be asked of Jamar Chase, he's supposed to be the bell cow wide receiver, and I don't think he can carry that load.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle, for what you're asking of him, to be just a home run threat, stretch the defense, put pressure on him every play because of your speed and breakaway capability, I think he is a home run for that.
Yep.
I think in terms of what they're asked for, Jalen Waddle's better. So I'm going to go back on my rankings. I'm moving Jalen Waddle up to 3 and pushing Jamar Chase back to 4.
Man. Oh, my goodness.
That's what it is. I'm not that high. You got him at 1. I got him at 4.
Whew. What a discrepancy.
That's where we're going with Jalen Waddle. We're going to move him up. Before we get to our last 2 pass catchers, we got to pay these bills one more again. So, man, just tune in from my man Mike Beasley so you can support black businesses like he always do. Take it away, Beasley.
Yeah, appreciate that. Famous Facts Fees. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you tune in to Petty Sportz Wednesday Night Edition. Every week, you can catch these guys live and direct right here in King's Broadcasting Studios. You can also check these guys out and listen to them on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. If you like the show and you want to share it with your friends, do that. You know what I'm saying? Share. Sharing is caring. We love you guys for tuning in every Wednesday, getting at us in the chat rooms. And do feel free to call in at 678-871-9602. You know what I'm saying? Your opinion, we do want to hear it, but also understand that ours is the only one that matter. You know what I mean? So, don't get too ruffled in your feathers, but call in, be brave enough, share your opinion about your team or anything that these guys talked about tonight. Basketball, football, all of that, boxing, a whole lot. Not a whole lot show left, but, take it away, Famous.
Yes, sir. We bringing back the Petty Sportz Pass Catcher Combine. We're going to keep it hot and heavy with the number 4 pass catcher, who's absolutely not ranked number 4. He just fourth on the list. We've got the 6'6", 245-pound tight end with running a 4.40 out of the University of Florida, Kyle Pitts. Where you got him?
Absolute baller in this draft, man. Some people say this is the best player in the draft. This is definitely the most unstoppable guy in the draft at his position. It's like when Bosa came in just a couple drafts ago, and people are saying, "Oh, this is best potentially be the best pass rusher in football already." Definitely the best pass rusher coming out of college. Look at Kyle Pitts coming out of Florida. It's literally like a slightly bigger Megatron, DK Metcalf at tight end, whatever you want to call it at this point. This guy's hands are ridiculous. He can make any catch. He's absolutely going to mosh you. He's quick off the line as a tight end as well. And this is a guy that you could put into the slot at a tight end position because we remember a lot of Jimmy Graham in his earlier days. Great pass catcher for New Orleans at the tight end spot. But he also lined up in the slot as well, and he would do very well because he's got the speed, he's got the hands, he's got the size. And when you think about your modern day tight end in Kelsey, Gronk, Kittle, Darren Waller, he definitely reminds you of it feels like a bigger Darren Waller in a way because he's got the speed, he's going to bring the hands, and he's going to be physical. He's going to push you around. And this is a matchup nightmare at the end of the day. When you have a running back who can have the special size, or especially a tight end who you could put at the fullback position, like I said, this guy's so versatile, you can maybe even bring him around on an end around or a jet sweep, whatever you want to think about. Kyle Pitts is the most dominant player at his position in this draft. Maybe he should be the number 1 pass catcher against, ahead of Jamar Chase. The guy is an absolute monster. And when you look at the size and the fact that he plays with all hands and no frame, he is immediately pushing guys around off the line. He is immediately pushing guys around on the line of scrimmage. The only thing I'd like to see is to pick up some blocking better. It feels like he's more of taking a block rather than giving a block. With that size, and with your figure on the field, you're like a fridge on the field, and you can run a 4.4. Seriously, if he can learn to block, he will definitely be a top tight end coming into the NFL already because he's got it in him. There's no question. He's got the speed. He's got the work ethic coming out of the SEC. The only thing that I saw that could be a downfall to him is you put him on a really tight corner. We saw J.C. Horn hold him to 1 catch for 20 yards. Now, we are talking about J.C. Horn, but it shows that there is a little bit of kryptonite to the Superman that seems like Kyle Pitts here. And when you look at everything that he can bring to the table, whatever NFL team gets him, they're immediately going to reap what he brings to the table. This is a guy that is primed to be a top receiver in his first year, and we could be looking at a top tight end already, maybe just in his sophomore year in the NFL. Let's be real with it, guys. He reminds you a lot of your modern day tight ends that are just dominating the game at this moment.
Oh, yeah. The only way we would see a J.C. Horn repeat is if he goes to a team like the Jets or something where he's out there and he's the number 1 option and the quarterback's fail-safe and everything.
Yep.
Any other place he goes to where they actually have any other viable options, and there's no way that happens. He's got to be the only option for someone to single him out and do that.
Yeah. He will draw some double teams, though. Telling you, that's a tight end. That man's going to draw some double teams.
But in 8 games, he had 43 receptions for 770 yards. So, that's almost 100 yards a game at tight end.
Jesus.
12 touchdowns and 17.9 yards of reception at tight end. Tight ends don't put up those kind of numbers. He's definitely trending towards the Kelsey and Kittle type level.
Yeah.
His NFL comparison is Darren Waller. He's kind of a combination of all of them.
I'm telling you.
Running a 4.40, you can definitely run him on the end arounds. He's good running out of the slot, and he's actually a willing blocker. He's not a great blocker,
right,
but he does block.
That's the way to say it.
He tries. He'll get in front of you. He'll make what is at least enough of to get in the way so a running back can get around. He'll protect the quarterback if you keep him back in past protection. So, he's definitely a better blocker than Kelsey. Travis Kelce doesn't block anything. He's an overglorified receiver at tight end. So, I can already say he's a better blocker than that guy, and you know how good Kelce is. So it's not a slight to him, but we all know that dude don't block nobody. So, outside of that, man, Kyle Pitts is the best non-quarterback prospect in this draft. We can't say he's a better prospect than a Trevor Lawrence because the quarterback position is basically the lifeline of your entire franchise.
Oh, absolutely.
But outside of quarterback, it's Kyle Pitts. He can line up anywhere, way too fast for any linebacker to cover, too big for a corner. So that means you're going to have to roll a strong safety or a free safety down that can actually hang with him, which now opens up your running game because you got a safety tied up, worried about your tight end. I mean, he's a red zone touchdown machine.
Yeah.
He's winning the jump balls. He's really fast. It was like, in addition to the fact that you can't just jump over the top of him, he can run away from you. So, I mean, a lot of these red zone possessions, he just gets open because he's too fast.
Exactly.
He's got great hands. So, I mean, the only downside to him is that he's not an immaculate blocker. But most of you that get on to Kyle Pitts for his blocking will also turn around and tell me that Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the NFL. And he don't block at all. It's like, which one is it? He don't have to block. He blocks a little bit. So, I mean, it's not all bad. I mean, you look at him in the biggest games. Against Alabama with their destroying and smothering defense.
Yeah.
7 catches, 129 yards, and a touchdown, and that was in the SEC championship game. I mean, that was a major game. He went off for 8 for 170 and 4 touchdowns against Ole Miss, and then he blitzed Tennessee for 7 catches and 128 yards. So, I mean, these are ridiculous numbers for a tight end. For a wide receiver,
he'll easily be a 1,000-yard receiver in the NFL his second, third year.
For a wideout, you're like, oh, man, he had a really good game. For a tight end, you're like, excuse me? What position does he play? How did he do that?
T-E.
I mean, outside of the first 3 draft picks, which are clearly going to all be quarterbacks, he should be the first non-quarterback taken off the board. Don't know if he'll go 4 because we don't know what the Falcons are going to do with that pick. But the first team to not pick a quarterback needs to pick Kyle Pitts.
Falcons have the keys to the draft too, man. They have the keys.
The only team
draft.
picking that high that doesn't need a tight end is San Francisco, and they're picking a quarterback.
Yep. Damn well better be.
Absolutely. Smith, we're going to move on to our last pass catcher of the segment for the night. At number 5, Terrace Marshall Jr. out of LSU. The 6'2", 205 speedster.
Oh, yeah.
Runs a 4.3, 840. Where you got him?
This is going to be my number 5 pass catcher, and this isn't taking anything away from him, but unfortunately when you are with the likes of Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle and Kyle Pitts, I mean, things are going to get pulled away from you. Jamar Chase as well, but not to take anything away from Terrace Marshall because you mentioned the size, you mentioned the speed, and this is an ideal size for a wide receiver, and I think he could improve on his route running and release a little bit, but you look at the size that he's able to bring to the table, that's red zone size for you there. That's a guy that you could potentially put in the slot, have you run maybe an outright or bring me in on a slant, and he's going to be there for that catch. He's not afraid to go up and make those high point plays. He's not afraid to be called on in the red zone because that is his build. That's what he loves to do. And talk about tracking the deep passes as well. The way he will keep his eyes on the ball through an entire route, completely pull it in, and he plays very safe with the football, not going to be too extreme, trying to jump for passes that he doesn't need to, putting his body out there. He'll use the hands, he'll track the ball deep, and he will play well in the red zone for whatever team takes him. And overall, Terrace Marshall is going to be, I think he will be a good 2 position. He might even be a guy that you only bring in for a few plays on the 3. It feels like a real far drop down to that 5. Some people were talking about Rondale Moore. You got Rashad Bateman as well. But these LSU receivers are tried and true. We've had a lot of them coming out here lately. I think Terrace Marshall's no different. Not on a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase type of level, but Terrace Marshall I think will be special in the NFL, given he's serving the right role. Don't ask him to be a 1. I don't think he's a 1 at all. But you can get him to be that 2, maybe even that 3, but bring him in importantly, like I've said a few times, in the red zone, he'll play well for you there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I agree on that, man. I have him as a wide receiver 2 or 3 in his NFL future. I mean, he's got elite speed. He really struggles to get separation. Yeah. So, I mean, he's not going to want to have that matchup against an elite NFL defense's number 1 corner.
Yeah.
That's not what he's beating.
He'll be wiped out.
But, I mean, his junior year, I mean, he opted out last year after what he played 7 games and then opted out the rest of the season. In the 7 games he played, he had 48 receptions for 731 yards and 10 touchdowns. So he was going for over 100 yards a game, had 10 touchdowns. I mean, he destroyed Mississippi State for 8 catches for 122 and 2 touchdowns. And now we're actually talking about 2019. Well, actually, this season. At Missouri, 11 catches for 235 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's a monster game. And at Texas A&M, he had 10 catches for 134 and a touchdown. So, I mean, he has big game capability, and this was without Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. But in 2019, when he played alongside the two of them as the number 3 option, he still had 46 catches for 671 yards and 13 touchdowns. But he actually had more touchdowns playing with those two guys than he did that last season without them.
Yep.
Granted, he didn't play quite as many games, but still his production was up alongside other elite talent, which is basically a testament to say that he's not a wide receiver one guy.
Right.
He does have the speed. He has a wide catch radius.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's an excellent possession guy. When you have your other wideouts there, I can see him as a great compliment in New Orleans next to Michael Thomas. Put him in Buffalo next to your boy, what's his name?
Emmanuel Sanders, Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, Diggs. That's what I'm looking at. Yeah, you put him with Sanders and Diggs, amazing. He's your third option. To have a guy that good as a third option, he'll eat. Send him to Seattle, playing next to DK and Lockett. Put him in Cincy, get him out there with them boys. I'm like, yo, there are places where he can really excel. I mean, he goes back to Cincy. He's playing with Joe Burrow again,
right.
A guy who knows him, and he's still not the number 1 option.
Right.
So, but I think places like that, he can come in and really be an impact player. Not a Pro Bowl guy, not a number 1 receiver, but a very productive receiver.
Yep.
Definitely have him as my 5th ranked wide receiver or pass catcher in this group, but very good wide receiver. I think he's a 2nd or 3rd round guy. I mean, some people actually have him going late 1st round. I don't think he should get drafted that high because I don't think all the wide receivers will go that high. But I think he could easily be a 2nd round guy.
Right.
That's where I can get him. Because he doesn't play as fast as that 40 that he runs.
Right.
He does tend to take some plays off, and he really only has one move coming off the line, which is why he's so easy to jam.
Exactly. That's
he
something
does the
he's going to have to
same
improve on.
thing in the secondary. Like he gets out there, he goes stutter step you to get off the line, and stutter step to try to break into his move. It's like you got to have more than one thing to go to.
Yep.
You're already not the quickest. You're just really fast in a straight line.
Right. Got that track speed.
You got to do more than that.
I agree.
But as a wide receiver 2 or 3, very valuable guy. So, y'all, that does it for the Petty Sportz Pass Catcher Combine. 5 pass catchers. We broke them down. We ranked them. We can go back. We'll put them in order for you one time. Give me your 1 to 5. Where did you rank these guys?
Absolutely, man. So at number 1, did have Jamar Chase. Could be Kyle Pitts. Love the way Jamar Chase plays football. So number 2 is going to be Kyle Pitts, the absolute monster, transitional tight end out of Florida.
Still 2, huh?
Number 3, Devontae Smith. Number 4 will be Jalen Waddle, his buddy out of Alabama. And then at number 5, do have Terrace Marshall. We have had talks about Rondale Moore, Rashad Bateman as well. Once you get past the top 4 pass catchers in this draft, it's really just picking and pulling because a lot of these guys are talented. There's a lot of speed coming in, and a lot of guys will provide sparks for offenses. Those are my top 5 pass catchers coming out of this draft.
Okay. Yeah, see, my top 5 pass catchers are going to go Florida, Alabama, LSU. That's how it works. Got Kyle Pitts at 1, Devontae Smith at 2, Jalen Waddle at 3, then Jamar Chase at 4, and Terrace Marshall Jr. at 5.
Sounds great, man.
That's where I see it. It's not a knock to anyone or their school of choice.
Right.
That's where they fall. Then Kyle Pitts is easily the best pass catcher coming out, especially being a tight end with his size and speed. Devontae Smith, if there wasn't a Kyle Pitts in this thing, be the easily runaway number 1 pass catcher without question. I mean, the dude won the Heisman for a reason.
Yep.
He's a killer. But man, all 5 of these guys, so long as they get to the right spots, they're going to come into the NFL and instantly do dirt. Just like what you saw Justin Jefferson do, a lot of these guys are going to be on like a very similar trajectory. So, man, before we get out of here, we got one more really hot topic to cover for you, and you won't want to miss this. The NFLPA is pushing virtual OTAs this season, and players on 19 NFL teams have already chimed in and reported as they're not going. So, I mean, does this concern you moving into the upcoming NFL season?
It does a little bit because you look at the extremely unprecedented season that we just had in the NFL. Players going through so much, teams going through a lot, opt-outs. I mean, absolutely insane season. We had football Sunday through Sunday at one point, which I'm not complaining about. Give me more football. We'll take the 17th game. We'll take the less preseason. Go ahead and bump it up to 18, 19 if you want. But talking about this concerning the season going into next year, because now we feel like we're getting back to normal in the NFL. We feel like that these rules, these regulations, the protocols, we're going to be safer. We have the vaccine out now, and we're just going to have stricter rules in place to where hopefully everybody will be able to play a full season. Nobody has to miss anything. And overall, the NFL will be, we've always been a thriving sport, of course, but we know that they lost some money last year. A lot of sports lost money, but when it came to the NFL, having to pull and restructure and reschedule a lot of things, it was tough for them. And the reason that it seems like it's just one thing after another, like first it was the 17-game debacle, and then it was about how much these players are going to get paid. Then there was the vaccine uproar. Now we're talking about the virtual OTAs, and it makes you wonder, the NFL continues to go through this spotlight where we know that the culture and the overall hype around the sport isn't going to break, but it is going to wear on it. And the NFL has to be concerned about this because yet again, the NFL is up in the media, in the spotlight, getting talked about for something that kind of seems like it shouldn't really be that much of a debacle, because as long as these players are going to be safe, they're going to report to you. Virtual went well last year, and we're still in the COVID season. We're still trying to move out of this pandemic, keep everybody safe. And at the end of the day, you got to understand that these players, they have families. They have lives outside of football. Yeah, they might be 97% of their lives dedicating it to the NFL. But at the end of the day, they still want to live, see their kids, see their family, and they want to be safe. They don't want to have to take those unnecessary risks if they don't want to, because they know that that could shorten their career. And overall, they don't need to have that happening. All the millions of dollars that they're making right now, truly having that one of 1% type of job, why would you want to spoil that at all? So concerning going into the season, because now it feels like another thing in the spotlight for the NFL. Like I said, the 17 game was crazy. We were talking about potentially pulling salary from these players. Now players are complaining about the 17 game actually getting approved, changing numbers and everything, which is one thing I do like. I do like the number change that actually did just get passed today, but concern going into next season, it does bother me a little bit, because here goes the NFL again, having something, it's like instead of sports, all these business moves having to be pulled in, and we know the NFL's a business at the end of the day.
See, my concern for next season is on a very different scale.
Okay.
The fact that all these players are not reporting to OTAs means we're looking at something similar to what we did last season when COVID first broke out. And now you have a lot of teams with rookie, first-year guys, people who changed teams, got sent to a new squad, the new playbook, new atmosphere, new philosophy, that aren't getting reps with their new team, getting thrust into a season and basically looking at the first 4 games of the season being preseason again.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of teams that really suffer from this. The teams that didn't really make moves at their core positions that kept everyone together, they thrived last year because they didn't really miss a beat because everyone was comfortable with each other.
Right.
But for the teams that got new quarterbacks, new wide receivers, new coaches, new linemen in very pivotal positions, like they suffered from this. And now that you see it's 19 teams, and it's actually not all 19 teams where none of the teams are doing OTAs. There's 19 teams that have players that aren't reporting.
Right.
Because just as we've seen, like New England is one of the 19 teams that has players that aren't reporting for OTAs, but Cam is one of the players that is actually reported to OTAs, and he's out there leading workouts.
Right.
Because for teams that are in that type of situation, they need the work. I understand if you have health concerns and you don't want to go, but at this point in time in the game, most of the country is opening up.
Right.
Everything is accessible. People are getting vaccines. Granted, I don't agree with it. They're getting the shots. They're doing what they do. Everything's opening back up. It's pretty much gotten to a point where it's like, hey, if you haven't gotten it, then you've either been exposed and your immune system is good enough to fight it, or you've just been careful enough to not be exposed to it.
Right.
But the fact of the matter still remains, they have a job to do, and they know their jobs still ride heavily on their individual performance and their team performance. If they don't come to OTAs, they're not going to look back and be like, well, I mean, you guys all opted out of OTAs, so I understand that you suck this year. Like, no, you're fired. You're fired.
Help you. We'll pad you in the playoff race. We'll give you a little division win if you need one.
It's like, hey, it was a pleasure doing business with you. Hope you make it with your next team.
Right.
That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's been like the teams that didn't do well last season, I'm going to need all of you at OTAs.
Yeah.
If you didn't make the playoffs, need every single one of you at OTAs. 19 teams, I mean, if my math serves me correct, 14 teams made the playoffs.
Right.
So, all the rest of you, those other 16, 32 teams in the league? So we need 18. I need the other 18 teams to all be at OTAs trying to get right. You get paid a lot of money to do your job for a very short period of time, and you know much better than I do that you'll get shown the door if you don't perform.
Yep.
You need to be on the same page as the other people on your team, and you need to be the OTAs. That's my concern. You need to be there because you need to perform. The virtual OTAs are not getting it for teams that aren't in the forefront. If you're not a Kansas City, a Tampa, a Green Bay, or maybe a Buffalo, you need to be the OTAs.
I agree. There's just be no excuse for it. I mean, because at the end of the day, like you said, if we have the first 4 games of the year looking like preseason, I mean, those first 4 games were awful. I already really don't watch the first, 4 to 6 games of the season anyways. It's all fool's gold. It really matters when November, December, January football comes around. And you look at the Saints, I'm pretty sure the entire team of New Orleans is not going to the OTAs, which they're trying to stick by the values. They're trying to make sure that the NFL and the NFLPA are going to be on the same because, like you said, you are going to have some players from teams that are going to go. Then you've got guys like Cam Newton who need to be leaders, who need to stay back. And that's going to be tough for them because the young players, the minds are going to be wandering and saying, okay, is this going to be the right decision to make being virtual, or should I be in person, with my mentor, with my instructor, with the leader of my team? And do you feel like eventually that this could draw a line, like a divide in between the players in the union? I mean, there's already one, but what does this truly impact on the both of them, you feel like?
It could absolutely create a player and union line, not even with the league, just between the players and an NFLPA.
Yeah.
Like the veteran players that are taking over new spots and really need to prove themselves via like a Cam Newton, a Jameis Winston, even a Sam Darnold, not as a tenured veteran player, but he's going into a new situation. They
got the coaching, got the players.
They need these reps.
Yeah, they do.
They need their wide receivers to be there. They need everyone there.
Yep.
Like, these dudes need to show up, and I can't blame them. And if it draws a line between the players and the NFLPA, then the NFLPA is going to have to bend on that. I mean, it's very necessary. These guys are like, yo, my career is on the line. I'm going to OTAs because I got to be ready for September.
Yep.
I mean, that's just the bottom line of it. It doesn't matter what the NFLPA can present you a very compelling case about the players' rights, their health, and their safety, and everything else. But at the end of the day, those players don't have any rights, health, or safety when they get cut because they're not in the NFL anymore.
Exactly. And that's why, like you've been saying, that's why those are going to become so vital because that was the big concern last year. Your Joe Burrows that were coming in as day one starters, your Justin Jeffersons that were coming in at day one starters, your running backs that were coming in as day one starters, your offensive linemen. You look at Tristan Wirfs starting every single game for Tampa, not missing a snap at all. And that's impressive knowing that you don't have a full offseason and a full year or, like I said, offseason of preparation to go for before you, or to get under your belt before you step into this. And, it makes you wonder, are they going to be able to transition well? Because we feel like we're getting back to some normality. And then it's like, okay, now here's just something else. The 17th game, the CBA. And here we go. What is it going to turn into? The NFL's still going to be popping, but something else that they're in the spotlight for, man. I can't believe it's at the top of the second hour.
It is, man. You see, Mike Bell just Sandmaned us and turned the music on while we were still talking. I knew what time it was, pimping. We was about to stop. It's all good. We reached the top of the hour, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to Petty Sportz every Wednesday like you always do. We always going to keep it hot. Y'all know how to find me. It's Famous Fees, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere it go. Still on Cash App. Y'all ain't dropped them yet. I'm waiting on them. But it's all good, y'all. I'm going to see y'all next week. I'm out.
Hey, appreciate it, man. It was a great show tonight. Absolutely crazy. Glad you're able to join in with us. Don't forget about our live draft show next week. Hit me up at What Off Season Sports Pod. Hit up Famous Fees. Get into the show. Call in. Zoom in. Tell us about your pick. Tell us about what's coming up on the draft for your team. Check out Petty Sportz, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Boxcast. If you're not finding us, it's because you're not looking. We're absolutely everywhere. Petty Sportz out. Appreciate y'all.